are back, all three of us. Heidi, Bob, Josh. Happy Monday, everybody. What a beautiful day it is. We've got a lot to get to. First up, the Final Four is set for the men. The women will be set after tonight. But today, we're going to take a look back at March Madness and the impact it had here in St. Louis. We'll talk to the president of the St. Louis Sports Commission coming up at 3:30, and how much money was actually, made for St. Louis businesses. We're talking hotels and restaurants, because we had the Missouri Valley Conference Championship, of course, and then we hosted the first round here. So a lot going on in St. Louis when it comes to March Madness. So that's coming up at 3:30. We'll check in with Alex Stone, and TSA is finally getting paid. So how's everything moving today versus last week? In the 4 o'clock, we will talk to Ryan Krull, St. Louis Magazine, and he's covering a couple of really interesting stories. The one that immediately grabbed my attention, Joe Edwards is selling his share of the pageant. And I guess I never knew it was broken into shareholders. So who else is remaining, and who's going to buy it?
And we'll ask him as well, because isn't Delmar Hall affiliated?
Yes.
So I wonder if that's part of the whole package.
All of it. And I know this isn't the first thing that Joe is selling off. He's kind of gotten rid of several things.
The Tivoli.
Yes.
He sold that to that church.
The Peacock Diner.
Oh, the Peacock is gone.
Right.
Well, if I only knew where that sign went.
Exactly.
But Joe said the Peacock, selling the Peacock off or closing it down, that was his decision. It wasn't a financial decision. So is Joe Edwards pulling out of the loop?
Well, he created the loop.
Maybe just closer to retirement.
Or just retiring and selling off all the assets.
Cutting back. I think that's a normal thing to do.
I do too. Maybe he wants to get out in that convertible a little bit more.
He's always out in that convertible.
I love when I see him around, and he's done a great job with the loops. We'll talk about that and some of the other stories Ryan is covering. One that he was covering just a few minutes ago, a cat in Forest Park. He'll tell us that story
big
as
headlines.
Well. Yes.
Cat stuck in a tree in Forest Park.
So what did that take?
And by the way, stuck inside the tree.
Yeah, not just climbing the tree. So it's an interesting one.
Bob's eyebrows just went up.
Now you want to know a little bit more.
Now we want to know.
Yeah.
I think we got him.
Well, of course, talk sports with Brendan Weesey. Could the Blues actually be in the playoffs? I mean, I feel like we kind of say this every time Brendan comes in, but we might be a little bit closer to a yes on that. So in the 5 o'clock, we will talk to the author of The Ride, Paul Revere, and The Night That Saved America. So Kostya is going to be at the Clark Family Branch at 7, but first, coming by here and just the new additions to this epic American story that have been included. So we'll share some of that coming up in the 5 o'clock. We'll talk to Jordana Miller, get the latest from the Middle East. We've got some entertainment news, and then we'll wrap this show up with some randoms. Josh, you were missed. You were gone for a week and a day. Spent some time with the family. Did you build sandcastles? What was going on?
So we went down to Gulf Shores, Alabama. Family vacation, full
Everybody.
family. Mom, dad, brother, sister.
All their kids.
All their kids. And it was a blast.
It was.
And the weather was 73 and sunny every
whole
single
time?
day. Yeah.
Okay.
One day it was a little windy, so I skipped the beach.
Oh.
But that was it.
I mean, you don't look too burnt. Too sun-kissed.
Heidi, I use sunscreen.
Okay.
Because I don't want to develop skin cancer.
I think that's wise.
So it was just great to get away.
And Finn's at a great age for being at the beach, right? I mean, that's perfect.
And we had some little cousins for him to play with. I don't even think I talked to him all week.
Really?
It was great.
Till it's time to put him in bed.
And he was great out at dinners and everything. He's just getting to that age where it's not like...
As much work.
As much work anymore. So that was great, and I came back, and I'm here in the office this morning. It's 10:01, and Connor walks back in the office, and he says, "Josh, boy, you look tired." I got to be honest. I saw myself in the mirror yesterday and today. I got these bags under my eyes. I do look tired.
Well, you know what it could be? Just coming back to all these allergies.
Oh,
yeah.
my eyes are watering like crazy.
But I hate when somebody says you look tired.
I
You
think
might as well just say you look like...
And I think my wife was a bartender for years, and it was always the worst thing you could say to her as a customer. I think with a man, we don't take it as hard.
You don't?
No, I'm like, yeah, I am feeling a little run down, but I think for a woman it's a little different because it really is a straight attack.
On your looks.
On your looks.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I do not like it at all. But
Yeah.
we're glad that you're back. You came back, so you had the weekend here. Maybe you were just too worn out of catching up and doing all the yard work and everything else that you had to do.
I put some seed down.
Okay.
I did this morning.
And I did. Is that what I know? Dave Sherwood was on the show on
That's
Friday.
what he said you should
Is that
be
what he said?
doing. Yep.
I finally got an aerator, and I'm kind of, it's like a rolly, pointy rake thing.
You got one or you borrowed one?
I've been asking people in Newtown for the last 3 years, does anyone have an aerator I can borrow? Mm-hmm. I've even gotten to the point in saying, does anyone have some golf shoes I can borrow?
Then, as we know, they don't do metal spikes anymore.
No.
They don't
it's
do metal-
plastic.
Yeah, it's all rubber tips now, right, on the golf shoes? So I just bit the bullet and bought a $35 aerator from one of the big box stores.
Did you take a before so we can then see the after pic of what the yard looks
I mean,
like?
it still looks the way it did yesterday. Now
Okay.
it just
It'll be a
has,
month.
Yeah, I'll do
Middle
it
of
before
April,
and
it'll,
after.
it'll
Okay.
sprout a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little patchy.
We'd like to see
Little
that.
patchy.
Bob, did you have a good weekend? You're finally home. You've been traveling a lot prior to this weekend.
Yeah, it was great. Had a lot of things I needed to do and didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Watched a ton of hockey, a ton of baseball, and a ton of basketball.
It was a good weekend for sports.
By bedtime last night, I was kind of sportsed out.
Really?
I mean,
You mean after the Yukon game?
I mean,
or?
it was hours and hours and hours of sports.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's a whole lot of fun this time
Well,
of year.
that's why I was watching.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, how many gallons of ice cream can you eat? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's wonderful. It's my favorite food.
Yeah.
But after 3 or 4 gallons, I got to stop.
That's it.
Guys, was it really 90-something degrees?
On opening day.
On opening day?
Last Thursday.
Yeah. It was
Holy
beautiful.
cow.
And just hot.
I walked across the street because I'm a SIP club member.
Oh, yes. Yes,
at
you
the
are.
bread company. And I see all the tulips have sprouted.
Mm-hmm.
It's, got to be pushing 80 degrees out there right now. I'm ready. I can't believe we're already here.
Oh,
Is this real?
yes.
Are we going to have a hard freeze again or something?
No, I
Well-
don't think so.
Okay, so we're good, right?
I'm hoping so. Yes.
Take the top off and leave it off for the rest of the summer.
Well, it's
yes?
supposed to rain
All week,
all week.
starting
So we'll
Wednesday.
I forgot
see where
about
that
After
goes.
that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I put the grass seed down. Because
Early.
it's going to rain.
And that's what Dave said to do. So
Let me get it down.
Strong work on that. I was watching a lot of basketball, and have to leave the house to go see baseball, but I did, and that was fun. But also Saturday night, went to a great fundraiser for the Angel Band Project. And if you don't know what that is, it is basically music therapy for survivors of sexual abuse and intimate violence. And this was like no other. It was at the auditorium at Nerick's, and the survivors write basically their story in a song. And this night is when they come and are brave enough to actually perform those songs. And the band, for each of them, like one had a banjo and there was a violin and then a piano, but the music therapist work with them and they craft these songs, and it was absolutely amazing to see them get up there and share that story through song.
Do the survivors perform?
Yes.
Or do they have...
No, the survivors
Wow,
perform.
That takes a lot of courage.
Every single one of them got a standing ovation, and it was just absolutely moving the entire night. Nita Jackson kicked the night off. She's a beautiful singer and did some covers. And then Beth Bambara, who is also a local artist and has a new album out. She helped with a lot of these songs. And you know who I saw there? Neil from the Mighty Pines. He was there showing
Neil
support. And I know
Salsich.
he listens to the show. It was great seeing him, but it was just a fantastic event and a reminder of how many great non-for-profits we have and the work that they are doing that you don't even know about most of the time. So that was pretty cool. Josh, I saw something and I immediately thought of you. Want to be a little more optimistic. Because
I saw this. I didn't read it.
because apparently you don't want to
I
be.
don't know.
I don't need the help.
but I'm going to offer it to you anyway. 3 simple ways to shift your mindset. Are you ready?
To be less pessimistic, more
yes, optimistic. Use realistic affirmations. It's called the 7 out of 10 rule. Pick something you believe 70% already. Like, I'm a hard worker. Over time, your brain starts to believe that you are. Say it daily. I am a hard worker. I can do this. And you can change that 70% into the 100%. Now, that's just a, example of I'm a hard worker. Take whatever it is that you want to become. Schedule, I think this is very interesting, worry time. Instead of stressing all day long, give your worries a set time and place. Write them down and then maybe come back to them later and ask yourself, can I control this? And if the answer is no, I have no control over whatever I'm wasting my time worrying about, try letting it go.
See, I'm not a worrier. My wife is. And if there's anything I know about worries, you don't really get to pick
No?
when they pop up.
Yeah. I'm the stressful one of our family.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am too.
Are you?
Cross that bridge when we come to it kind of guy.
But the great philosopher Mickey Rivers, you may know him as a baseball player. He always said that if you got control over it, ain't no use worrying about it because you got control over it. If you don't have control over it, ain't no use worrying about it because you ain't got control over it.
It's true.
That's my guy right there.
Yeah, it is so very true. And then the last thing to do, which is kind of interesting, make a ta-da list, not a to-do list, but at the end of the day, write down everything that you got done. Everything. I mean, not just the big stuff. Maybe it's the little stuff. Maybe you scheduled something. Things like finishing the laundry. Maybe you folded the clothes. Maybe you hit your goal of drinking water. The goal is just to remind yourself that you did a lot, and that builds confidence in yourself. Because a lot of times I think we're harder on ourselves than we are anybody else.
I kind of do that. As you guys know, I'm still the old school day planner guy. I need to have it written down in front of me.
Too.
And I kind of check things off, and it does give you a feeling of accomplishment, even if it is something small.
Absolutely. I think it was last Thursday, and I had several different appointments. I had somebody coming out to look at a tree, to trim it, and then I went over to Premier U and was getting the results of my Pinoy test, which was super cool. It's one of the many things Premier does. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But and then I actually had that heart scan.
Yep.
And then I came back over here and I got stuff done for work. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not even noon. And I did X, Y, and Z. And it just, I think I walked a little, straighter.
To-do list.
To-do
I
list.
like that. You guys ever write something down on your to-do list that you already did?
Just
so
to hit
you
the
could
check
cross
mark.
it out?
Yes, just to get the check mark.
That's cheating.
No, it is not. Not if it was going to be done in the day and you didn't write the list until after. I've done it so many times. By the way, somebody says, Josh, stay pessimistic. I enjoy your view on things.
Oh, well, hey, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something real quick that we did over the weekend. Finn got a passport 4-something years ago. When he was 9 months old, we went to Mexico.
Oh.
Had a great opportunity, couldn't pass it up. My wife's sister had this opportunity for us. So we got Finn a little passport, and I'll show you guys the picture because
Oh my gosh.
a baby on a
It's so cute.
it's so great.
Maybe you should frame it.
But I got to cross off all of his vital, information. But we went back to the post office over the weekend to get it updated because my wife has designs on we don't have anything planned, but if something were to come up,
Well, I might as well go ahead and get it done.
take advantage, get it done. So, number one, the post office on a Saturday. I guess nobody goes in anymore during the week. They all just save it up for Saturday because it was a madhouse. And people behind the counter were stressed out. People on our side of the counter were stressed out. But they had us go into the side room to take a picture of Finn. He's 5 years old. And Finn naturally smiles for the picture. And he said, nope, buddy, it's a great smile. But I'm going to need you to do more of a neutral face. And they took his picture that way. And I had just read the reason why they do that. Now, I'm elbowing my wife. I know why they did that. 2 weeks ago, I read this story. Do you know why you cannot smile in your passport photo?
I don't know that.
Mm-mm.
It's about your eyes. They want to be able to see your eyes, and generally when people smile,
You squint a little bit.
You squint a little bit. So I read this and I was like,
That's
oh,
interesting.
that's really interesting. And then flash forward 2 weeks later, I see it firsthand at work. And so if you're ever wondering why you can't
I
smile on
was
your passport photo,
wondering.
it's because your eyes.
That's info we need to know.
How about
Well, I'll tell you, I might need to go redo my passport, not because it's expired, but because my face doesn't look quite as round as it did when I.
Oh, because you lost some weight,
lost
did you?
16 pounds and counting, and it's all due to working with Premier U. Like I mentioned, I did this Pinoy test, which was so interesting. Basically, you just sit there with this machine and you breathe, and then it does this readout.
Oh, I did that.
It's so cool, isn't
It's really
it?
weird, but cool.
Yeah, and then it can kind of tell you where you are in your fat burning and your caloric intake and how. So basically, Keenan changed, and I'm supposed to be eating even more calories than I was prior to. And it's just so interesting to break it all down. Like, what is your body missing? You know, the week prior, I had sat down with Jordan Kimler, the nurse practitioner there at Premier U, and we walked through some crazy stuff. Like, I didn't know I was low on sodium or magnesium. And so now I've got all these other things. So Premier U can help you with your weight loss journey, but they can also help you with just feeling better and kind of taking preventative measures. The reason I went to get this calcium test, and this is interesting too, I went and got this calcium test, which is basically like an MRI scan that just checks your heart for buildup of calcium and plaque. And after I did that Thursday, Friday morning, I get a newsletter that Katie Couric puts out every day, and it said the test more people should be taking. And it was this exact test. And I'd never even
Interesting.
heard of it before I sat down with Jordan, and she goes, you know what? Your cholesterol's high. It could be just that it's genetic,
Yep.
but let's just cross off this because I'd rather not put you on medicine if you don't need it. So I went and got this test. Everything is clear. But then Katie Couric also said, so I'm telling you, the folks over at Premier U, they are on top of things. I don't even think there's another Pinoy machine in the state. Like, this is it in the Midwest. So I'm telling you, if you're looking to lose a little weight, if you're looking to just kind of check yourself and make sure that you're as healthy as you can be, if you want to check and say, am I feeling like I'm supposed to be feeling, or can I feel better? Premier U can help with all of that. PremierTheletterUmed.com is the website. PremierUmed.com, or give them a call. Schedule that initial consultation, 618-750-LIFE.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Spring is in the air, my favorite time of the year. I'm buying and selling, of course, cars and motorcycles daily. I like to buy a few cars a day at this time of year, and I like to buy them directly from the owner. We carry only hand-selected vehicles, and I like to meet the people they come from. It's as much a people business as it is a car business. If you're in the St. Louis metro area, I'll even come to your house to purchase your vehicle, especially if you have more than one to sell or even an entire collection. We're always on the hunt for super clean, rare, and unique vehicles. I'll even buy everyday cars if they have low miles and are exceptionally clean. Hop on my site, MasterCarsInc.com, and submit what you've got to sell. We buy, sell, and trade every single day.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
Spring is here. Time to think of baseball, Easter, flowers blooming, fresh mowed grass, and tax day. Who wants to think taxes? The alternative is to think about making the trip to Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant part of your weekly plan. Whether an early breakfast, midday lunch, a homestyle dinner, or a late night bite to eat, Gingham's is your home away from home 24 hours a day. Spring into spring at Gingham's Restaurant in St. Charles, 636-946-0666 or ginghamsrestaurant.com.
Are you or a family member needing to sell your home? Then call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties. I will buy your home in any condition and always as is. Call me at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. No contingencies, no inspections, just cold hard cash. I'll save you time and money. So make that call now and let me buy your house. RobangProperties.com. That's ROBANG Properties.com.
Here comes Peter Cottontail.
Make your plans now for a St. Louis tradition, the 63rd Annual Concours d'Elegance at Forest Park. Presented by the Horseless Carriage Club of Missouri, Easter Sunday, April 5th from 11 to 3 and free to the viewing public. See firsthand the largest and most significant gathering of authentic, restored, and original antique vehicles, 25 years old and older, with some dating back to the dawning days of the automotive industry more than a century ago. That's Easter Sunday on the Upper Muni parking lot. More info at hccmo.com.
Hey, JJ Weatherholt here. From the stands, people see the highlights. Home runs, stolen bases, diving catches. What they don't see is the preparation to be ready for the unexpected. That's how I look at my car too. Repairs can hit out of nowhere, and they're not cheap. With CarShield, you get the best defense against costly repairs. When something goes wrong, you're not scrambling. You've got a plan. A CarShield plan.
Don't get caught looking. Get a free quote today at carshield.com. Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment. A moment for an idea to spark. Or to make it happen. A moment to find your dream. Or build one. A moment to start your forever. Or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them. And can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
It is 3:33 on this Monday afternoon. Captain Paul, how's traffic?
No accidents, just some slow traffic. 270 south is heavy from Page down to Ladue Road. 64 west is crowded from Clayton Road to Spady. 55 south is running slow from Gasconade to 4500 South Broadway. And in Illinois, 64 west is congested from 158 to Greenmount. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
I saw an article this morning that said St. Louis saw the biggest local boost of all the March Madness host cities. Mark Schreiber, the president of the St. Louis Sports Commission, joins us with his take. And Mark, you know KTRS has been the home to the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament for now 10 years. We are big supporters of everything you guys are doing. Congratulations on another successful run.
Thank you, Heidi. It's great to be with you and Josh and Bob, and thanks for the good words. We're grateful for all the Big 550 does. You guys have been terrific.
Thank you. So let's talk about the impact. What did you guys see here in our area?
So I assume you're talking about the first and second rounds a weekend ago, and it was terrific, and we had a great combination of teams. It was wonderful to have Mizzou here and have a local team of interest, but we also had a great group of universities that travel really well between Kentucky and Purdue and Iowa State. So, everybody always likes to ask what the economic impact was, and I would suspect it was probably in the $10 to $15 million range, which is a big boost to the region and especially to downtown St. Louis.
Yeah.
Mark, it certainly seems like the synergy in St. Louis seemed to really be focused on your efforts, first with Arch Madness, and then with the NCAA tournament. It seemed like everybody was pulling the rope the same direction. Is that the kind of cooperation you typically see?
Bob, that is a great question. And I would say the collaboration has been as good as it's ever been.
Good.
Which is
Love that.
a really nice spot to be in. And I just, relative to the Missouri Valley, they've always been excellent. Mm-hmm. And they are impeccable when it comes to hosting events, especially the March Madness games we get. And people should not overlook how big of a deal that is to have an organization like the Valley be able to be our host institution, because it's one of the reasons the NCAA comes back to St. Louis. Now, on top of that, I think just the cooperation with civically, when you look at groups like Explore St. Louis and Greater St. Louis Inc. The police department just has been excellent to us. Chief Tracy's been wonderful. And so that really invigorates me because the spirit of cooperation and everybody rowing together right now is where we need it to be. And it's a great thing to have. So thank you for asking. And Bob, by the way, I was just so happy for you that you got such a great season to call with SLU basketball. You deserve that. I know we wish they could have gone further in the tournament, but what a great run it was, especially that Georgia game.
Well, next year I want you to, or the next time that the tournament's in town, I want you to, swing your weight a little more and get St. Louis U to stay here at home. No, thanks. And I only got to do one game in the Missouri Valley tournament, but that's really special. I love being able to do that. So yeah, it was really a fun month for me.
Yeah, get Bob to stay home with SLU because he said Buffalo was terrible this time of year.
Yes. So everybody kept saying, like, this is your dream scenario to get the teams we have. Like, well, no, if we had SLU here, that would have been that and Illinois. Imagine that. Imagine us getting that combo. But no, we will take what we got because it was wonderful.
Yep.
So all good. But would have loved to have had the Billikens here.
Well, true. However, we do like when visitors come in and they then stay at the hotels and maybe go out to eat a little bit more.
Yes, that is true. And fortunately, when you have 8 teams in the first, second rounds, there's plenty of wealth to be shared. And just to that point, Heidi, it is great to hear the reaction from fans that come in. You hear the interviews with the Kentucky fans, the Iowa State fans, and they all have positive things to say about St. Louis. And that's one of the things that I really love about what we do and the events we bring to town is the way it makes a great impression on people from around the country. They come here, they experience the city, have a great time, and they go home and tell friends and family. And it's a great way to shape our city's narrative.
So tell us, the Cardinals, the Blues, the Battlehawks even, which just kicked off their season over the weekend, they're already here. What does the St. Louis Sports Commission work on bringing to the region? I know we had the volleyball tournament just recently.
The figure skating championship.
The figure skating championship, which we talked to Kristen about a couple of months ago. What are you guys working on? What do you bring to town, and what can we look forward to on the calendar?
Yeah, well, we're always trying to bring those high-profile, high-impact events to our region. And kind of specifically, the bids we're working on at the moment include the 2028 Olympic Marathon Trials, which would be another great connection for us for the LA Olympics. It would be wonderful. If we have Olympic soccer now. If we had Olympic soccer, the Olympic torch relay, and the Olympic Marathon Trials all in 28, what a summer that would be. You mentioned the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. That's up for bid for 2030, so we currently have a bid in for that. This summer, we'll submit bids for a whole variety of NCAA championships, everything from basketball again to wrestling to the Frozen Four, trying to bring that here. And the one event I really would love for St. Louis to host is the NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship.
Oh, yeah.
The highest profile NCAA championship we've yet to host. So we'll be aggressively going after that. And then even further out, there's the 2031 Rugby World Cup and the FIFA Women's World Cup that we're working on right now with our friends over at City SC and our other partners as well. And then just what's already on the books, BMW Championship this summer at Belle Reve, and we bring back the NCAA Wrestling Championships next March of 27 for the 10th time in St. Louis.
And I don't know how long you've been at the Sports Commission, but everybody's talking about Illinois is back in the Final Four for the first time since 2005.
And you can hear those games now on the Big 550, which is pretty awesome.
Well, 2005, refresh my memory, the Final Four was here at the Dome. Do we have facilities that are up to date to get another Final Four, or is that something that they'll go to these newer stadiums like they're building in Houston and Minneapolis?
I really wish we were in the position to be a Final Four host, and I'm not sure we're quite there yet with the state of the Dome at America Center. And that's not to say that the facility is problematic when it comes to events across the board. We've got a good chance to bring in high-profile college football, be able to do some other events there. Of course, the Battlehawks are there. But as it relates to its competition and where the Final Four is going to, that's going to be a tough lift for St. Louis. And what makes it especially hard right now is you look at the cities that are about to build dome stadiums. You have Cleveland, Nashville, Kansas City, all in a few years are going to have dome facilities going after the Final Four, which will make it even more difficult for St. Louis. I do hope that there will be greater investment in the facility, and perhaps one day we could position ourselves to be in a spot where it would be worthwhile to bid for the event. I just don't know that we're there at the moment. So we have to pick our spots and find the other high-profile major stuff that we can do. But I'd sure love to have the Final Four here. And what great memories. I'm glad you brought up 2005. I was here then, and that was really something, having the Fighting Illini here.
And don't forget, we also hosted 2 women's tournaments.
Exactly. And that's something that I think is a greater possibility in the near term. That one's been out, I believe, through 2031. But, you know, we talk about how the Dome doesn't necessarily hold up against those newer venues, but Enterprise Center certainly does. And that's where the women's Final Four would be. And so that would give us an edge. We need sort of the public support, the public sector support to help us with a bid like the women's Final Four, because it's so competitive and it's an expensive event to host.
Yeah. Mark, I've also heard rumors that Nafisa Collier and her husband, Alex, might try to get the unrivaled kickoff here in St. Louis. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I think there's been some chatter about that and probably interest on their side and Enterprise Center side. I don't know what the latest is with that, but gosh, that would be outstanding to have in St. Louis. And, you know, they took what was basically a league anchored in Miami and took it on the road. I know they went to Philadelphia, sold out the building there. And to bring that to St. Louis I think it would do great here, and it would certainly be a special event to have. So, yeah, that's something to definitely keep an eye on.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And Mark, maybe I missed it. You mentioned it, though, with college football coming back to the Dome. Has Mizzou signed on for any number of games in the next coming years to play here in St. Louis?
Nothing yet, but we continue to work with our friends in Columbia. We were hopeful that we could get one of the Mizzou Illinois football games. Right now they have a on-campus series. And when the SEC recently went to a 9-game conference schedule instead of 8, and I know I'm getting really into the weeds here and into the minutia, but it made it a lot more difficult for one of those games to be shifted to St. Louis. So we may just have to wait a little bit longer, but we're really working hard to try to make that happen. And I'm hopeful at some point down the line we're going to bring Mizzou and Illinois back playing football at the Dome. And we had such a great series several years ago, and we want to rekindle that.
Great.
Yeah. Well, Mark, again, congratulations on everything that you have done for St. Louis and the area, and continued success.
Thank you. It's great to be on with you, and just grateful for everybody out there, the fans and our community that really step up to make this all happen and help us be successful. So many thanks, Heidi.
Absolutely.
And if we get that women's Final Four at Enterprise Center, you can go and get Dogtown Pizza.
Oh, Dogtown Pizza's now at Enterprise?
Yeah, they have been for a long time.
I don't know that I realized that.
Yeah. I think you can get like a half a pizza, or you can get pizza by the slice.
Or eat the whole thing.
You know what? I've got a problem.
I've done it.
Guys. I have too.
I went on vacation. I stopped watching what I'm eating. I'm at almost as high as I've ever been on the scale, but I've gotten into the habit of just eating everything in sight. And I got to turn that off.
Got to turn it off.
How do you turn it? So I guess
Except with Dogtown.
I'll eat half a pizza here. I went down to the freezer last night to put some stuff away, and I noticed I got 3 of them hanging out. And I got to eat them. You know, Rick would be really disappointed if I just threw them out. I got to eat them. So I'll finish those up. I got a hot chicken down there. I'm really looking forward to it. Maybe Saturday night while I'm watching the Arizona game, I'm pulling for Arizona, by the way, I'll throw in that hot chicken Dogtown pizza. They got 12 different varieties. I know we still have some Lenten days. Is Friday Good Friday?
Yes.
This Friday is Good Friday.
Yes, which is kind of crazy.
So you've got the veggie, the cheese, or the tomato, basil, garlic to choose from. No meat pizzas at Dogtown as well. And again, I was on vacation. I went to the Rouse's in Gulf Shores, and sure enough, there's Dogtown Pizza at the Rouse's in Gulf Shores.
Wow.
Dogtown Pizza, soon to be everywhere you want to be.
John Beal Roofing has been proudly serving homeowners and businesses in the St. Louis metro area on both sides of the river in Missouri and Illinois for over 3 generations. A dependable roof begins with a team you can count on, and that's exactly what you get with John Beal Roofing. Recognized as one of Roofing Contractor Magazine's top 100 roofing companies, John Beal Roofing offers 24/7 emergency service and industry-leading warranties, including a lifetime workmanship warranty for total peace of mind. From upgrading an aging roof or completing a full replacement, the team at John Beal Roofing delivers solutions that are built to code, built to last, and handled with expert care. John Beal also responds quickly with reliable storm damage services backed by decades of experience and 24/7 emergency support. Get started today for expert service and a free, no obligation estimate by calling 1-800-NEW-ROOF. That's 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Hey, St. Louis, temperatures are rising, and if your AC isn't blowing cold enough, trust the experts at AAA Home Services. For 56 years, they've been fixing it right the first time. Our expert technicians are qualified to work on any system with any issue. We can even perform your annual maintenance on your air conditioner before it gets too hot. And if you need an estimate on a new system, we can do that too. For 56 years, St. Louis has trusted AAA for heating and cooling, electrical, plumbing, and appliance repair needs. Call 636-397-3200. Online at AAASTL.com. Call AAA. We're on our way.
It's Jill Farmer. Medicare is overwhelming. Parts, plans, deadlines. It's a lot. That's why so many of you turn to Ryan Raphael, the Medicare man. Ryan breaks Medicare down in plain English, helps you compare options, and make sure you're not overpaying or undercovered. No pressure, no confusion, just clear guidance from someone who actually cares. If you're turning 65, already on Medicare, or helping a parent navigate it all, start with someone you can trust. For the right plan, call a Medicare man. 314-368-6808, MedicareManSTL.com.
When it comes to mortgage lenders, I know you have no shortage of options. But are you working with someone local who can truly simplify the process? I'm David Goldberg with the Goldberg Group. And as a St. Louis home purchase expert, I know this market inside and out. I specialize in tough-to-complete situations for borrowers who are self-employed, looking to buy and sell at the same time, and may have been turned down somewhere else. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or seasoned homeowner, you can trust me with all of your home financing needs. Call or text me at 314-471-4030. 314-471-4030.
Look at our alums, the contributions that they have made throughout industries in the St. Louis region.
Terry Freerix, a graduate of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
UMSL is embedded in the fabric of the St. Louis community. We're hands-on, and when our students graduate, they are definitely career ready, but maybe more importantly, they're career confident.
More is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
Your dentures no longer fit? Maybe you're missing a tooth or several teeth. Visit Dr. Bowen for Simply Secure Dentures and Dental Implants. The cutting-edge, high-quality dental implants that replace all the teeth in your mouth, and it starts as low as $7,000, not the $35,000 that others charge. If you're only missing a few teeth, Dr. Bowen can permanently replace those with something you don't have to take in and out of your mouth. Learn more at simplysecuredentures.com and get the care you need and the teeth you want at Bowen Dental Care or simplysecuredentures.com.
Spring is here. Time to think of baseball, Easter, flowers blooming, fresh mowed grass, and tax day. Who wants to think taxes? The alternative is to think about making the trip to Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant part of your weekly plan. Whether an early breakfast, midday lunch, a homestyle dinner, or a late night bite to eat, Gingham's is your home away from home 24 hours a day. Spring into spring at Gingham's Restaurant in St. Charles, 636-946-0666 or ginghamsrestaurant.com.
Hi, it's Frank Cusimano inviting you to join me for the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. We're going to interview some of the biggest names in sports and have our opening monologue. That's the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
It's about 8 minutes before 4. Captain Paul, how's traffic?
Heidi, no accidents, just a little slow traffic. 270 south is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. 64 west is crowded from Clayton Road to Lindbergh. 55 south is running slow around 4500 South Broadway. We have debris on 270 north past Dorset in a center lane. There's a stalled vehicle on 170 north at Forest Park Parkway in the right lane. In Illinois, 64 west is congested from 158 to Greenmount, and 64 east bogs down around Illinois 157. This traffic report is brought to you by Brown & Brown Attorneys at Law. Have you been hurt in a crash or on the job? Call Brown & Brown now for a free consultation. 314-333-3333. That's 314 all threes. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly.
Well, it looks like TSA officers are finally seeing some money appear in their bank accounts. But what does that mean for long lines? Alex Stone, ABC News correspondent in L.A., joins us with the latest on where we stand at our airports. Hey, Alex.
Hey there, guys. Yeah, big difference today. And now that they're getting paid, TSA officers are coming back. But yesterday, close to 40% called out sick in Baltimore, 36% in Houston, where the wait times had been 5 hours long at times over last week and into the weekend. Today, George Bush Intercontinental, the wait time is 5 minutes. They've gone from 5 hours to very suddenly, with staffing coming in now with pay, 5 minutes. It's a very big change, but there are still some airports with long lines. Angela Grana is a TSA officer in Colorado. She's received some of her back pay this morning, saying she saw it go into her bank account.
So, yes, I received about 4:30 this morning, Mountain Time, a paycheck.
And across the country, TSA officers say yes, they are getting back pay, but that it only covers 2 of 3 paychecks in which they didn't get their full pay or any pay, because there were 2 full paychecks where they didn't get anything. And then the first paycheck, where it was in the pay period, they got a tiny percent, like 10% of that they should be getting. And then the rest was without pay, but they haven't gotten any of that. So they didn't get that, and they didn't get anything that they thought they were going to get in the terms of working overtime, where they had filled in for their colleagues calling in sick and everything else. So they thought they were going to get all that money. She says they've got none of that.
It does not cover any overtime. It does not cover any shift differential. Some people are even missing their holiday pay. So it's not what I expected. It is better than not having anything.
And what nobody seems to know yet is if the president's order to pay back pay, if that's going to mean getting paid as per usual moving forward, or if this was just a lump sum back pay paycheck minus the things that she's saying they didn't yet get. They don't know that yet, and the union doesn't know that yet. They may, from here on out until there's a deal, not get paid again, or maybe they're going to get their regular paychecks. They don't know from the president's executive order. But Pascual Contreras, he's a TSA officer in Phoenix. He's been calling out sick. He's going to return tomorrow, but he says not everybody's coming back.
We still have officers walking out because we haven't received all of our paycheck. They said it's coming, but there's currently no guarantee on that.
And he says the hundreds who quit during this because they could, in some cases, go make similar money or better working in fast food or an Amazon warehouse and know they're going to get paid. They says they're gone for good. They're not coming back.
There's a lot of uncertainty. And we have lost a lot of good officers, unfortunately.
And they say because they lost their security clearance by leaving, they can't, when there's a funding deal, just jump back in and say they want to come back. But their union wants Congress to come back from spring recess, fix the partial government shutdown, know they're going to get their forward pay and all of their back pay. But there's no movement on that within Congress for it to occur. Nothing that we see going on the next couple of weeks. And Angela says it's all been so tough.
There's no way to know when the next paycheck's going to come. It's a wait and see game. But even if it came tomorrow, it still doesn't help us recover from the late fees and the finance charges and the emotional toll that we've all taken.
So at this point, they are getting this pay now. They are thankful for that. It's a big change to get that money, but they don't know what's next, when they're going to get that the overtime and the sick pay and that first paycheck pay and future pay. They don't know any of that yet.
And the mechanism used was executive order. It was not Congress refunding the government. So I keep hearing you say things. Does this mean in 2 weeks they're going to get a paycheck, and 2 more
They
weeks
don't know.
they're going to get a pay?
They don't know. Yeah,
Oh,
next
no.
pay period, they may go back to not getting paid and not being able to pay any bills. And now maybe the president's executive order, they're going to find a way to make it where from here on out they get their regular pay. That's not clear in his executive order, and the White House hasn't been able to clarify that.
Alex, it'll be interesting now. I know reports varied in different places, depends on where you were, but ICE personnel at least helped out a little bit. In some places, they say helped out a lot. But moving forward, if a number of TSA agents aren't coming back, do we see ICE personnel staying on a little longer, maybe lesser numbers, but still being there?
It's a good question. I don't know. There's been talk about keeping them around. The issue that has been is they don't have the authority or ability or training to do actual security screening. So in many cases, it was handing out water in line, maybe doing ID checks at the little thing when you walk through and show them your ID. But the actual doing of security and doing the actual work, while they may, look good walking around in their uniforms, that they can't do what is actually needed to be done by TSA officers. So they need the TSA officers to be back in there doing that job. Will the administration want to keep them around in some form? Maybe. They have talked about that, but yet to be determined, and kind of how staffing goes here over the next couple of weeks.
All right, Alex, we always appreciate your reports. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Strategist and wealth advisor at Capital Advisory Group, and also the author of the #1 best-selling book on taxes called Keep What's Yours. And he hosts Keep What's Yours, a radio show, Saturdays at 3, right here on the Big 550 KTRS. So, Jeff, what should we be doing in February?
Thanks, Julie. The short answer is getting ready. Tax season is here. I've written a new, soon-to-be-released book called Keeping What's Yours, the strategic tax planning guide for the one big, beautiful bill. And, of course, for 50 years, Capital Advisory Group has helped hundreds of area businesses get their financial plans in order, reduce their tax liability, and stop overpaying their federal and state income taxes. If you're not taking full advantage of the tax law and you feel like you might be paying more than your fair share in taxes, then let us help you plan for 2026 and take advantage of the new tax law.
Certainly a lot of changes that might actually benefit you. To learn more, give Jeff and his team a call at Capital Advisory Group at 636-394-5524 or go online, capitaladvisorygrp.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Wildwood, De Pere, Columbia, and the world. Streaming live at KTRS.com.
The Big 550.
KTRS St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Lizzie Davis.
Lewis, anchor of Prime, streaming weeknights on ABC News Live. The violence in Iran continues, with the country striking an Israeli oil refinery and threatening more strikes on American and Israeli military bases. It comes as the Trump administration faces new questions about how long the operation in Iran will last.
Pakistan foreign minister says that he expects the U.S. and Iran to meet for talks, quote, in the coming days. But frankly, we heard that kind of optimism last week, and it went nowhere. So what an off-ramp for this war looks like remains very much unclear.
ABC's Matt Rivers in Doha, Qatar. TSA officers across the country started seeing back pay show up in their bank accounts today after President Trump signed a memorandum to that effect last week. Angela Grana is one of those workers at Durango-La Playa County Airport. She's also the regional vice president of the TSA union.
It is better than not having anything, but I don't think it's going to change the needle very much on the lines. The officers that left are not coming back. They turned in their badge, and once they turn in their badge, they've also lost their security clearance, so they don't just get to come right back.
It remains unclear where TSA workers' next paycheck will come from. Both the House and Senate went on recess last week without agreeing on a deal to fund the Department of Homeland Security. They're scheduled to return in mid-April. Investigators say that attack on a synagogue in Michigan earlier this month was an act of terror. Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Lebanon, died after driving his truck into the building and then getting into a shootout with security. Special agent in charge Jennifer Runyon says Ghazali purposefully targeted the Jewish community.
A review of his online activity since January 2026 revealed a reoccurring search history of pro-Hezbollah news channels, Iranian news channels, and videos about shootouts and bullets.
And interest rates are likely to remain where they are, at least for the time being. That's according to the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. You're listening to ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. St. Louis County Police say a child that was reported abducted this morning was not abducted. In fact, the child doesn't exist and the kidnapping was made up. The report caused an Amber Alert. Police say the car that was reported stolen with the alleged child inside was stolen and recovered a short time later a few blocks away. Police say the owner of the car and her roommate, who reported the missing child, could face charges of filing a false police report. A suspect is hospitalized after an officer-involved shooting in Shrewsbury. Police say this all unfolded early yesterday morning when officers responded to a domestic disturbance at a home along the 7500 block of Murdoch Avenue. When officers arrived, they found the suspect holding a man at gunpoint, leading to a police standoff. Crisis negotiators spoke with the suspect for more than an hour in an attempt to de-escalate the situation. Police reported that the suspect became increasingly agitated and uncooperative during the course of the intervention. About 3 hours later, the suspect allegedly pointed the gun directly at the victim. That's when an officer shot the suspect. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Nobody else was injured. U.S. Representative Sam Graves will not be seeking another term. The Republican who represents Missouri's 6th Congressional District announced his retirement. The Jackie Joyner Kersey Foundation has received a $100,000 grant from Boeing to support the expansion of its signature Winning in Life program. The initiative is designed to equip youth with the skills, mindset, and support needed to succeed in school, career, and life. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florists, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. A final vote on a proposed data center is expected at the Festus City Council meeting tonight. Residents have expressed opposition to the plan. Meanwhile, the group Wake Up Jeffco claims newly uncovered emails and text messages suggest city officials may have engaged in private discussions about the project. Wake Up Jeffco held an emergency meeting last night where they released details to residents. And now this look at the markets is brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement Saturday mornings 9 to 11. Wall Street at the close today, Dow Jones up 49 points
to finish the day at 45,216. NASDAQ fell 153 to close at 20,794. S&P 500 dropped 25 points to close at 6,343. Time now to check sports and traffic with Captain Paul Kopsky.
Sobe, the Cardinals welcome the Mets to town for a 3-game series tonight. The Birds couldn't complete a season-opening sweep of the Rays with an 11-7 loss in the finale yesterday. The St. Louis bullpen has allowed 15 runs already through 3 games on the season. The Blues open a 4-game road trip tonight in San Jose against the Sharks. The Note will be trying for 5 consecutive wins. And Illinois basketball is on to the Final Four for the first time since 2005. The Illini will play the UConn Huskies in a national semifinal at 5 p.m. this Saturday, right here on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. A crash on 70 West at 270 is causing a stop-and-go back up to Air Flight. Estimated clearance time is 4:45. 270 South is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. 64 West is crowded from Clayton Road to Lindbergh. 55 South running slow from Gasconade to 4500 South Broadway. In Illinois, 64 West is congested from 158 to Greenmount, and 64 East bogs down from 255 to Illinois 157. This traffic report is brought to you by the Rockwood School District. Are you looking for a new part-time or full-time job opportunity? Consider Rockwood School District with openings for custodians, cafeteria workers, and groundskeepers with great benefits, competitive pay, and flexible hours. Apply online at rsdmo.org/jobs. That's rsdmo.org/jobs. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather tonight, partly cloudy, overnight low of 65. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high of 85, with rain possible tomorrow evening. Looking ahead to Wednesday, occasional morning showers, cloudy, high of 73. And Thursday morning rain turning into heavier thunderstorms in the afternoon. But right now we have 85 degrees. The time is 4:07. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Headlines for this Monday afternoon, March 30th. This one hurts. National Blues Museum closes after downtown traffic decline. The announcement was made Friday and cited the downtown economic climate and the property owner's plans to transition the site into an event venue. The Blues Museum has suffered from a significant decline in pedestrian traffic downtown since the pandemic and the elimination of federal funding sources to support its mission. The Blues Museum Board of Directors is working to complete a wind down of its operations and is exploring a reimagined path forward to preserve the museum's legacy. The museum is processing ticket refunds for canceled performances. Developer Amos Harris, who is a member of the Blues Museum Board, said the organization had already reduced staff and decided not to hire additional employees for the spring and summer as part of its efforts to align its income and expenses. The museum has 2 full-time and roughly 5 part-time employees. The building the museum is housed in is owned by Spinnaker Real Estate Partners, which is a Connecticut-based commercial real estate firm with a St. Louis operation led by Harris. They plan to partner with the adjacent Embassy Suites Hotel to use the museum as an event space in its immediate future, but he hopes a reimagined Blues Museum could be a part of the future to revitalize downtown. The museum is part of the $250 million Mercantile Exchange Retail and Entertainment District, which spans the former St. Louis Center Mall and One City Center office building. It opened in April of 2016. The $14 million National Blues Museum was the anchor of the Mercantile Exchange Entertainment District, and over 11,000 people visited the museum by late June 2016. So it started with a bang and then just fizzled, but it was really, really cool. And I know a lot of musicians would stop by on their time in town.
It's too bad that they have not been able to figure out how to make it work financially because it was a cool idea. I think pretty well executed.
I do too.
And,
I think the space was cool. I think there were a lot of unique things, and just the concert space. We went to see a couple of people there, and it was really cool.
So maybe they can reimagine it and find a way to keep that history alive.
I hope so.
like blues music, and so that's a tough one. Two quick ones. I don't want to cut into Josh's time because he's excited to be back.
Yes.
He is a news guy. People says that this is an exclusive story. Why Tiger Woods won't hire a driver.
Oh, do tell.
He says because he doesn't want anybody to know what he's doing. But then they say, quoting a source, he's not a social butterfly and prefers to hang around the home with his kids, hitting balls or playing video games. Yet, he doesn't want anybody to know what he's doing. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting, and the story gets weirder as we go along. And here's another weird one. A man 36 dies after he jumped into historic Erie Canal to evade the police.
Oh.
It was a attempted traffic stop in basically Buffalo, Lackawanna, one of those suburbs. Anyway, then they had a chase, and he got to this bridge over the Erie Canal, got out of his car, and jumped into the canal.
Oh, boy.
The police immediately threw him one of those bags, those life bags that has a rope and a thing, and they got him, and he grabbed it. But he grabbed it, but by the time he pulled it in, he was dead. By the time they got him to shore. So they don't know a cause of death yet. Did he have a heart attack?
When he hit that water.
Maybe. Was he on drugs? Did he have an overdose? Who knows? But it's a really, really strange story.
Yeah, very odd.
And going back to that Tiger Woods, everybody, why doesn't he just get a driver? Well, you kind of have to admit that you have a problem if you need a driver at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday.
I believe the courts are going to
mandate a driver.
The problem is there.
I'd be okay to ride around with a driver. I mean, look at all the Today Show anchors have a driver to get them where they're going, so you can do research. Just sit in the back and,
Yeah, but it's saying, well, why do you need a driver, Tiger? Well, I have a pill problem. Oh, now you have to. Now you're admitting it.
Well, here's the other thing.
That's the hardest part.
If you're not allowed to drive and you got to have a driver, how much does that cost to have somebody there all the time or nearby on call?
I'm going to guess that Tiger has it.
No, I know, but I mean, it's just something. How does it work mechanically? Is a guy got to be on call at 3 a.m? Hey, I want to go and get a pizza or whatever. How does that going to work if you're not allowed to drive?
Yeah. Great question. And can you go on vacation if you're the driver? Does somebody come in while you're out?
You just have to hire a guy or gal full time,
or a team,
and pay him $80,000 or $100,000. I don't know.
I've always wondered that about butlers. What was that movie in the 80s? I think it was a Merchant Ivory movie with Hannibal Lecter and
Anthony Hopkins. You mean?
Yes, The Remains of the Day. Maybe. Where he was a butler and the maid fell in love with him, and he was like, I love you too, but what can I do? I'm married
to the family.
I'm married to the family.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like a really fun existence. But to the point of when is your time off?
Right.
And
how does that work?
And how does that work?
Yeah, but it's like any other person around the house as far as that goes. You know that he has other people, probably had nannies throughout the time. I mean, it's something that would be easy to figure out.
And I
think.
wondered it about the Trump family. Sasha and Malia were young kids, and they were living in the White House. And I think even the Bush girls were teenagers or maybe early 20s living at the White House. But then you got a president who has a grown family, and they got Secret Service protection.
20-year-old son at college.
Oh, and Barron. So who are those people? Do they just kind of stand around and good morning?
They're Secret Service.
Yeah,
good morning,
that's a different.
That's different because they're Secret Service.
Yeah,
right.
All of them.
All right, there's a story about bread company in the Post-Dispatch today.
You know what? Do you know anybody on the SIP Club, by the way?
I personally
Sorry, I interrupted. Sorry.
SIP Club member. And I'll always call it the bread company, even though in St. Charles County they've started switching back over to Panera's. But the headline is, can Panera come back from higher prices and sinking sales?
I saw that.
They go on to say that the company has dropped 5% since 2004, and it's all because of the fact that they try to cut corners when it came to how fresh the food was.
The frozen dough instead of making the bread fresh.
Making the bread
I didn't know they were doing
in-house.
that.
You know, they call it par-baked. Partially baked, I'm guessing, is what that stands for. And the question is, can they come back? Bread Company, St. Louis Bread Company, was founded in 1987 by Kenneth and Linda Rosenthal. Bob, in the Green Tree Shopping Center in Kirkwood. You know where that is?
I do not.
It's where 590 used to be. It's where the Oberweis is.
That's where they started?
Yeah, in that little bitty corner.
My dad used to own a gas station. There used to be a gas station there, a mobile gas station back in the 70s.
Oh, really? And that's where it was?
I wondered why their bread always tasted like high-test fuel. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
They sold in 1993 to Obon Pan, which is a publicly traded cafe, for $23 million. It was sold again in 2017 and privatized by a Luxembourg-based private equity group for $7.5 billion. You think the Rosenthals are... Oh!
Yeah.
Only we could have just hung on for 30 more years. And that's when the problems, they say, started, where they said, can we trim the fat and cut the corners? And former employees were interviewed and customers were interviewed alike for this story. No Panera officially corporate employees were interviewed for this story. They would not make themselves available for interviews for this story. But they're saying that it is time for a comeback, and they're going to reinvest in making baked goods and food in certain price points for consumers who think that they've gotten too expensive, and they're going to work on their front of the house operations as well. So.
I don't care about that. Give me the good turkey and Swiss cheese. Give me a turkey and Swiss with a little mayo. I'm happy. I'm easy.
That's all he wants.
They actually switched to real turkey, and I was like, can you go back to the old stuff? I kind of like the old stuff.
I do too.
But traffic is down on fast food restaurants all across the nation. So apparently Panera Bread Company has 2,200 stores in the United States and Ontario, Canada.
Wow.
Just Ontario for some reason. The rest of Canada, British Columbia, does not have a bread company.
That is so interesting. Well, there's one way that I will always feel better. I don't care what kind of mood I'm in, but give me a little live music and I am back. And guess what? Coming up April 18th, it's kind of a 2-for-1 evening. It's Glennon Live. And so not only are you going to be at a great concert with Cody Johnson and Alexandra Kay, but you're going to get to listen to some stories from patients, from doctors, from other caregivers. It is really a unique kind of night where they bring all of this together, a one-of-a-kind entertainment experience that celebrates the patients, their families, the caregivers of Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, and then throw in a concert. So the good news is your ticket goes to the Glennon Foundation, which is fantastic and is a way that, you know, you can truly make a difference in some of the programs that are offered at Cardinal Glennon, you know, to actually make sure that a child is never turned away, because that's one of the things that Cardinal Glennon really pays attention to is charity care. So you can learn more about the concert and making that donation at glennon.org. Coming up, Ryan Krull joins us with some of the stories he's covering, and they are interesting. One even includes a cat being removed from a tree in Forest Park.
Can I get serious for a moment? Something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is my front yard and taking care of your front yard. Because when you drive by someone's house and it's full of weeds, you think to yourself, oh man, it's very, very simple. You know how much I love to pretend to be a yard dork. You know what I use? Fertilome. I go to fertilome.com and I type in my zip code, and a whole host of local independent lawn and garden dealers show up. I buy the Crabgrass Preventer Plus Lawn Food. It's the spring application. I get it down on my yard as soon as possible, and that greens up my yard and keeps the weeds away. So it makes me look like I know what I'm doing. But really, all I'm doing is getting Fertilome and putting it on my front yard. And that will take care of my yard for many, many, many weeks, and it go a long way to having the greenest yard in the block. So this spring, you want to green up your yard and get rid of the weeds? It all starts at Fertilome or Fertilome.com.
Only 2 seconds left. He shoots and scores. Game over.
It's the end of the game for you and your car. To get the deal you want, you've only got one shot. That's why you go to HW Kia. HW Kia delivers the best Kia buying experience in the Lou. No pressure, no games, no nonsense. Right now, you can score a brand new HW Kia K4 for just $199 a month. That's a new K4 for under $200 a month on a 24-month lease. Has your credit been keeping you out of the game? Nobody works harder to help get you approved than HW Kia.
Hey, everybody, remember, Big D wants to see you in an HW Kia.
HW Kia, in the heart of West County on Manchester Road. Start now at hwkia.com. With approved credit, 2025 Kia K4, $34.95 due at signing, 10,000 miles per year, no security deposit, plus tax, title, license, and admin fee. Expires 3/31/26.
Hey, it's Julie Buck for our friends at Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution, and they've been in St. Louis for over 20 years with 2 locations, one at Clayton and Lindbergh, and the other one just west of 270 on Olive. If you've got your own business and you want to have a better banking experience, look no further than Triad Bank. Their mission is to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services to you and your business. For more, go to triadbanking.com.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. The one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call STLMedWeightLoss.com and ask Dr. Joe. STLMedWeightLoss.com.
Have some fun with your friends while eating great food. Of course, I'm talking about the Village Bar, the only place to watch the big game while eating the world's best cheeseburger. There's a reason people have made this their favorite hangout for decades. The game's on, and so is the grill. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550. KTRS. It's Monday.
And that means news, politics, lighthearted topics, and everything St. Louis and beyond.
It's Ryan Krull from St. Louis Magazine on the Big 550 KTRS. The talk of St. Louis.
Welcome back, Ryan. We've been told you were covering a late-breaking story in Forest Park. Can we start with that one?
Sure. Yeah. You know, I only cover the most serious topics in town, and this is
This one's pretty interesting, though. Where was this cat?
Yeah. So this is about a cat that's been stuck in a tree in Forest Park since Saturday, going on more than 48 hours now. Yeah. So the cat's name is Sushi, a girl, and this is a tree. It's right by the boathouse. It's kind of between where they're renovating the restaurant and then where you rent the boats. There's sort of a temporary location where you rent the boats. And yeah, the cat is stuck literally in the tree, not on top of the tree, but this is a tree that's very hollow. So it's kind of been one of the people looking for the cat who spent a lot of time over the weekend trying to find this cat said it's basically like a little cave system in there. He hooked up a camera to a cord and, fished around in the tree, could see the cat, obviously, but couldn't coax it out. But, yeah, he's like, there's so many little crevices for this guy or this girl to to hide in there. She's just kind of moved in and made herself at home. And her owner obviously is happy the cat is okay and safe inside a tree, but wants to get the cat out as well.
So, Ryan, did people hear it meowing or crying? How was the cat initially kind of spotted?
Very good question. So the owner was actually taking the cat for a walk in Forest Park on a leash, which you see. I feel like you do see that every so often. It is a little bit.
One of our neighbors walks a cat every night on a leash.
On a leash?
Yes.
Like a leash or a harness?
Leash.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're a cat, you want to get outside in any way you can.
Yeah.
So,
And if you're trained that way as a kitten, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, the Sushi got off her leash, got startled, ran into this tree, and I think what's kind of complicating things is that I mentioned they're doing some construction on that boathouse right next door. There's a lot of banging, there's a lot of loud noises. I think that's part of the reason why this cat is staying in this tree for going on 2 days now. But what I really loved about sort of reporting this was, I guess this woman was just Googling, who can I call to try to get this cat out of this tree. And there's actually a Webster Groves-based company called Atypical Cat Rescue.
I love it.
Yeah, it's two brothers. I think they must kind of their 9 to 5 must be sort of as, tree trimmers, horticulturalists, that sort of thing. But their kind of side hustle is they're really good at getting cats out of trees. I talked to one of the brothers, EJ. He said since 2018, he's gotten 177 cats out of trees.
Wow.
And he's confident, they'll get Sushi out. It's just, he said it might take a while. He said it's not uncommon for him to spend 5 to 6 days on a job. The longest situation he ever had was a cat took 11 days to get out of a tree. So, this is a kind of high drama unfolding at Forest Park today.
I know we have more stories and serious stories to get to, but when the brothers, I mean, they're not there 24 hours a day. Is the owner coming in a lawn chair and sitting in case the cat just comes out on her own?
I think as much as he can. I mean, she's got a job to go to and that sort of thing. And like I said, she feels confident the cat, there seems to be little risk of the cat, leaving the tree of its own accord.
Okay.
So yeah, she's monitoring as much as she can. I talked to EJ. He'd been there on Saturday. He was just back there this evening or late this afternoon. He sent me an up-to-date photo of Sushi. She's still in there. He kind of went in there with the camera again and confirmed that she's still there. This whole thing reminds me of, I don't know if this will land with everyone, but there's an episode of The Simpsons from way back in the day when Bart falls down a well.
I know it well, Ryan.
Yeah, okay, nice. So, that's kind of why I think I was interested in the story because it reminded me of that episode. And, the whole town shows up to sort of wait for his return. And I hope that the cat comes out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, you'll have to keep us posted on that. At least text us so we can then let everybody know that Sushi is okay.
I'll do that.
Last week, a jury awarded $37 million to a man who was shot in the back by police. This is something that happened 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, this was in October of 2016, so about 9.5 years ago, yes. And then the lawsuit was filed about 5 years after that, right at the sort of the statute of limitations. And then it sort of was in state court, then federal court, back to state court. And then it finally was before a jury last week. And yeah, it was just that's an eye-popping figure. That's the largest, it could potentially, I think the attorneys are still researching this, but it could be like the largest verdict against the police anywhere ever in the United States for a non-fatal shooting. It's definitely the largest in Missouri. But I know folks have been looking, and they haven't actually found a larger one anywhere in the country yet that predates that is larger than that.
So, Ryan, what was the situation? Was this guy running from police after a crime, or was he a completely innocent man?
Yeah, so he basically his only crime was running from the police. The two officers were looking for a stolen white Acura. And they were following it. They saw it pull up to a school, and it looked like maybe the person who was driving the stolen vehicle had a conversation with some kids at the school. Maybe not. It's hard to say. It was at a distance. Anyway, the Acura takes off. Then the police pull up to the school to talk to some of those kids. They all take off running. the police pursue this one young man. He's 14 at the time, Tyron Edwards. And as they're running, as Edwards is running away and the police are running after him, they open fire and shoot him in the back. He lives, obviously, but part of a big part of the lawsuit was that the police said that Tyron opened fire at them first, and the officers were just returning fire. But there really wasn't a lot of evidence to back that up. So in addition to the shooting, the part of the lawsuit was the fact about the officers kind of created this false story that then led to Tyron being charged criminally. He had these criminal charges hanging over his head for a full year before they were dismissed. So that was kind of part of the pain and suffering they said that was inflicted upon him in addition to the shooting, with this sort of concocted criminal case.
And what's the status of these two officers?
One of them retired, and the other one is still on the force. So the one guy is currently self-employed, and the other one is a detective in the SLMPD. And he's had a number of, I think that the thing with why the verdict was so high was because just 6 months prior to the shooting that was sort of at question, that same officer had been involved in another shooting of a 15-year-old, kind of under very sort of eerily similar circumstance. And the jury heard about that right before they left to figure out how much money to you sort of punish the SLMPD with. And I got a feeling the fact that they heard that story, that this wasn't the only situation kind of like this, was part of the reason that they returned such a huge number.
Yeah.
Dirty Harry's just a movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Joe Edwards is selling his share of the pageant. Who's the buyer, and how many different owners are there in the pageant?
That is a good question. So what really stuck out to me about this was that, I think we all think of Joe Edwards as the man who really sort of, built the loop.
Yes.
Like, blew everything. Yeah, but he's kind of gradually been divesting. Like the Pinup Bowl, for instance, that was sold to another sort of ownership group. I think it was late last year. Now the pageant. And then I have to wonder, I think the thing that maybe kind of flipped Edwards, his hot streak with the loop, I think it kind of came to end with the loop trolley.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like there's like kind of this pre-loop trolley Joe Edwards and this post-loop trolley Joe Edwards. And I think the pageant, him sort of divesting himself from it is just another example of that. And, we will see. I know the people seem pretty happy with the Pinup Bowl ownership as it is right now. It involves, kind of a mix of business people as well as folks who are sort of in the entertainment space. So, I hope it's the same for the pageant.
Is Delmar Hall, is that part of the deal too?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I just double checked. It's not. But yeah, I could see that being another thing that maybe he hands off in the near future. If I were just totally guessing, I would think the very last thing to go would be Blueberry Hill, because I know that's very much his baby.
Well, and I think he lost his wife not too long ago as well.
Yeah, I think you're right, and his daughter I know is somewhat involved, and maybe there's talks of if she wants to get into the notoriously stressful real estate game or not. So I don't know. It's kind of, you always sort of wonder what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, it is a legendary place, so hopefully it will continue to host some fantastic concerts. And then one final story. Queenie Park Rangers kind of got their hands slapped. Tell us about this story.
Yeah, so this is the park just sort of sandwiched between Town and Country and Manchester. So, yeah, this was a pair of park rangers, and they're really only supposed to patrol in the park. Their jurisdiction ends when the park ends. But yeah, just a few weeks ago, there was someone doing some donuts in the driveway or in the parking lot of Queenie Park. And then he took off whenever the Rangers showed up. So they followed him. There was a little bit of a pursuit, through the mean streets of Town and Country. They found the car, ticketed him. But then whenever the Rangers supervisor showed up, I think the Rangers realized they'd kind of broken protocol. So they kind of fibbed about saying that the car had been broken down and had trouble, broken an axle, that kind of thing. But none of it really added up. So yeah, these two Rangers kind of got their hands slapped for basically being, trying to be park rangers in an area that is not the park.
So I don't know if there's a difference between park rangers and police officers, county, municipality, all of that. But with 90-something municipalities, is jurisdiction a thing? Like if I'm getting chased in Belle Noire, do they have to give up when I reach Bell Ridge?
I think with police officers, no, they don't. If it starts in one municipality and goes somewhere else, they don't. But the thing about park rangers is I was very ignorant about park rangers before the story, but they're actually not technically law enforcement officers. Like they in the parks, they definitely can give out tickets and citations and that sort of thing. But they're not whatever sort of certification or category you have to be in to be a police officer. That is, park rangers do not fit that bill. So that's why they really cannot do anything outside of the park. And honestly, this, in a weird way, for news nerds, they might appreciate this. This really reminded me of the Alfred Montgomery saga a little bit, because if you recall, a big part of his downfall was that he was trying to be like a law enforcement officer at like a South City gas station and that sort of thing. So it was a similar situation where his jurisdiction is just those two courthouses, but then he was kind of trying to do the job where he wasn't supposed to. And it's the same deal for these two park rangers.
Wow, very interesting. And you can, of course, follow Ryan's reports online at stlmag.com. Ryan, thank you so much.
Hey, talk to you guys soon.
All right, it's 4:35. Time to check back in with Captain Paul. How's traffic looking?
Well, Heidi, the latest is an accident on 44 West past 141, blocking the two right lanes with the stop and go back up to Bowles. Estimated clearance time is 5:20. They just cleared a crash on 70 West at 270, but there is residual congestion back to Air Flight. 270 South is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. 64 West crowded in front of Forest Park. 55 South is running slow from Gasconade to 4500 South Broadway. In Illinois, 64 East is busy around 157, and 64 West is congested from US 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois to near 159. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, it's Julie Buck for The Only Facial. I was driving around the other night, and I was so excited when I saw another The Only Facial logo in Creve Coeur. That's their newest location. Now, The Only Facial, you might have heard about it. Every single treatment includes 11 different steps. It's one price, $125, and that includes your gratuity. But for that, you're going to get dermaplaning, you're going to get an enzyme peel, therapeutic massage, extractions, LED light therapy, a treatment mask, hydration. I mean, it just goes on and on. All 11 steps, every facial, and they have several locations. Like I said, the Creve Coeur one is the newest. But here we go. De Pere, Sunset Hills, St. Charles, U-City, Clayton. You will love this. I'm telling you, it's the best thing going in St. Louis, and now there's one near you. And if you're always struggling to find the perfect gift, we have the solution for you. 3 ways to shop for a gift card. You can order online and pick it up at The Only Facial, visit a store, or you can send your gift online. All happening at theonlyfacial.com. The Only Facial. Go to theonlyfacial.com for more, and you'll be on your way to better skin with a healthy glow.
You're selling your home, and I want to buy it. This is Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I am ready to pay top dollar for your home. No contingencies, no inspections, no monkey business. I buy your home no matter the condition or location, and you walk away with cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867, 314-283-0867, or at robankproperties.com. That's ROBANG properties.com.
Repairing chimneys, walkways, porches, foundations, entire homes, anything to do with brick or stone, you need a tuck pointer you can trust, and that, of course, is Morelli. Morelli is a family-run business started in 1991, and they're only as good as their last customer. That's why when you check out the reviews online at MorelliTuckPointing.com, you'll notice that they're actual customers who are singing the praises of Morelli. So if you need a tuck pointer, you need Morelli. 314-645-1387 or MorelliTuckPointing.com.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
Do you have the option to control your cash flow and wealth? Are you getting a return on your greatest asset, your lifetime and potential generational income? Overcome these critical financial planning challenges by discovering the Control Option Mindset featuring the Lifetime and Generational Income Maximizer. Call Mark Benson and his team at the Control Option at 314-432-9540 or online at thecontroloptionmindset.com.
I'm Mark Cantor. Here's why you can count on Cantor Injury Law.
My name is Michelle. I'm a litigation paralegal at Cantor Injury Law, and you can count on Cantor because we are smart, honest, and hardworking.
I'm Kevin Glenn, and a partner here at Cantor Injury Law. You can count on Cantor because we make your cause our cause.
No fee if no recovery. Please visit cantorinjurylaw.com or call us at 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
When you want to send flowers to a loved one for a birthday, anniversary, or that special occasion, call your friends at Walter Knoll Florist. Walter Knoll is family-owned and operated and offers custom designs by expert designers. A huge inventory and selection that only the largest florist can offer, with quality and care that no grocery store florist can meet. They have several locations in the St. Louis metro area to serve you. Order online today at WKF.com. That's WKF.com. Walter Knoll Florist, your personal florist since 1883.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Well, Heidi and Bob, back in the day on this date, March 30th, 168 years ago, 1858.
Okay.
Philadelphia. Hyman Lipman patented the first pencil with an eraser.
What, number 2 pencil?
Might have been number 1. Number 1 pencil. Can anyone tell me what the difference is?
No.
Between the...
I mean, it has to be something with the lead, right?
Yeah, how dark it is.
Has anyone ever seen anything but a number 2 pencil?
I have, but I always go back to the
number 2.
Number 2.
All right, so I replaced some boards on the deck. We're going to have Mike Ruffino's painting come over and redo my deck.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to replace some boards. And my cousin gets out this pencil to mark the line where we're cutting. What number is that pencil?
It's a different one because
like
isn't it fatter?
Yeah, it's a big flat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What number is that?
Pencil.
Well, ask your cousin.
Number 3? Number 6?
I thought it jumped and like there's a 33 and I thought there were different numbers.
I'm actually very interested. And if
I'm sure we're going to get a guess.
On the next commercial break, I will be Googling this. 1870. On this date, the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution went into effect. This gave black men the right to vote. 1870 wouldn't be another 50 years before the black women and women in general got the right to vote. That was on this date in 1870. 1960, Bob. A congressman demanded that the FCC investigate payola and protect America's youth from rock and roll, which he called, quote, a type of sensuous music.
There's no doubt about that.
Unfit for impressionable minds. That congressman in 1960, Tip O'Neill.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Speaking of Tip O'Neill, 1981, President Ronald Reagan was shot and seriously injured by John Hinckley as he left a Washington, D.C. hotel. White House Press Secretary James Brady and 2 others were also wounded in that one.
Yeah.
Was Hinckley the one that
Jodie
was
Foster.
obsessed with Jodie Foster?
Mm-hmm.
That was a crazy story. And then remember SNL did Buckwheat getting shot? Remember that where Buckwheat got shot?
I do not remember that.
It's a very sad day.
Yeah. I think he ended up, at least on the show, passing away, Buckwheat.
Is that how he went off the air? Was that the last sketch?
Oh, for Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
I don't know. They probably should have retired that sketch a long time ago. And 34 years ago on this date, 1992, the Academy Award winners for Best Picture, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh.
Best Actress, Jodie Foster for Silence of the Lambs. Best Actor.
Yep.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yep.
For Silence of the
All
Lambs.
deserved, in my opinion.
And Best Director, Jonathan Demme for Silence of the Lambs. Supporting actor and actresses, City Slickers and Fisher King, not Silence of the Lambs. So it didn't sweep the Academy Awards, but it knocked
Took the
out
big three
the
or
big
four.
Yeah.
I think City Slickers was Jack Palance, wasn't it?
When he did his push-up with one arm.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that is so interesting.
And Mercedes Rule for the Fisher King. I never saw that movie.
It's different.
I think
Jeff Bridges, Robin Williams, and
Robin
Mercedes
Williams
Rule.
was living on the streets.
Yeah.
And then he was running through Central Park naked.
Jeff Bridges plays
That's when I turned
a
it
shock
off.
jock.
Oh, he does?
New York City shock jock.
Was it good? Should I watch it?
It was really different.
I was going to say thought-provoking probably, but it's been a long time since it.
I only seen it the one time at the theater, so
Yeah.
what does that tell you?
Yeah.
All right.
I got you some pencil information. So
Okay.
key pencil grades, like a 9H to a 5H, are extremely hard, produces light lines, ideal for technical drafting and ultra fine detail.
Oh.
Then you've got like 4H to 2H, where hard produces light, crisp lines for sketches, structural architecture. Now, these are like some grades that will go all the way through like 3B, 7B. Then you get to the U.S. numbering system. Number one is
and
the
it's
equivalent.
let me guess, it's different.
Yes. So it's equivalent to B, soft and dark. Number two, standard to the HB, which is standard writing pencil. Number three is hard and light. Number four, very hard and light.
I wonder if number one is the carpenter's pencil.
Might be. Yeah.
It's pretty dark.
Mm-hmm.
But is it soft?
The number one?
Yeah.
The
You
number
said
one,
hard
soft and dark.
Soft and dark is number one.
Yes.
That sounds like a carpenter's pencil.
I think it could be.
Somebody
Is it
probably
flat?
knows. That's
Gotta
a
be
different
flat.
one.
Yeah. It's a carpenter's pencil. It has to be flat.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's Jill Farmer for Premier Heating and Cooling. You know how spring works in St. Louis. One week you're running the furnace, the next week you're flipping on the air conditioner. It's weather whiplash, and your HVAC system feels it too. That's why spring is the perfect time to have the experts at Premier Heating and Cooling check things out. Their technicians go through 5 years of training well beyond industry standards. So when they perform a tune-up, they're making sure your system is running safely, efficiently, and ready for whatever the next St. Louis weather swing brings. If your furnace or air conditioner is older or starting to struggle, Premier can help with that too. They offer financing options that make replacing your system far more manageable, and a new unit can mean better comfort and lower energy bills all year long. So whether it's a quick tune-up or time for an upgrade, call the team that knows how to handle St. Louis weather. 636-916-1122, premierheatingcooling.net. Comfort you can count on.
You know, over the years, Lordo's has become part of the family for many, many St. Louis families. For 80 years, they've been helping St. Louis families with all of the jewelry needs, whether it's the diamond ring, a diamond ring, maybe something for St. Patrick's Day, something for an anniversary, Valentine's Day. Throughout the years and throughout the calendar, it's Lordo's as your go-to. Whether it's men or women, you want to repurpose something or buy something new, Lordo's Diamonds in the heart of Ladue on Clayton Road. You see, it's a family business. The family's been running it for years, and they learned it from their father, who learned it from their father. And so that family jeweler, it's where generations of St. Louisans go. Grandparents have gone there. Your grandkids will go there. Right there in Ladue on Clayton Road, across the street from a Norman Rockwell-esque firehouse, is Lordo's Diamonds. Go in, make a friend, and make them your family jeweler, because you can thank me later. 314-432-8008, or online, lordosdiamonds.com.
Game day comfort steps up to the plate Saturday, April 11th, when the Cardinals face the Boston Red Sox downtown. That night, fans can score a Cardinals dugout hoodie presented by Mercy, built for cool nights, late innings, and early season baseball. It's a classic, easy-to-wear layer you'll reach for all year long. Available in medium or extra large while supplies last. Don't miss this spring matchup. Get tickets and details at cardinals.com/promotions.
Every Sunday home game is a Kids Sunday at Busch Stadium. From Team Fred Birding games to a kid-friendly DJ, ice cream, and family favorite activities. Sundays are built for young fans. Plus, select Sundays feature kids run the bases after the game. It's a day made for smiles, memories, and Cardinals baseball together. Make Sundays your family tradition at Busch Stadium. Tickets and details at cardinals.com/KidsSunday.
Heard a great story about the window store the other day. Larry Thornton, the owner of the window store, 314-739-0002 or wswindow.net, told me a story. He had a customer call him up and say that he wanted to replace his white vinyl windows with darker windows. And so, of course, Larry took care of him. So now they're all darker and sort of brown in color. Looks beautiful. They're energy efficient. There was no upselling. They're great quality windows, and Larry Thornton and the window store took care of him. That's what he does. The price is extremely reasonable, better than the national companies because there aren't the layers of middle management. The window store has been around for 38 plus years. Proud sponsor here at the Big 550 KTRS. Windows, and don't forget about doors. Doors can get really expensive real fast. That's why you want to go with a company you can trust. Installation, price, selection, quality. The window store. Window store. wswindow.net. 314-739-0002, wswindow.net.
Stay connected with the Big 550 KTRS, streaming 24/7 online at ktrs.com or on the KTRS app.
Powered by JBL Financial.
Stream Straight Talk on Retirement every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show
With Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey.
on the Big 550 KTRS.
10 minutes before 5, Captain Paul, how's traffic?
Heidi, there's a crash on 270 south at 70 blocking the left lane. An accident on 44 west past 141 is blocking the two right lanes with traffic jammed back to Mraz. Estimated clearance time there is 5:20. 270 south is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. 64 west crowded in front of Forest Park. 64 east bogs down at 170. And 55 south is running slow from south of Arsenal to 4500 South Broadway. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
The men's Final Four is set. KTRS Sports Director Brendan Weesey joins us with a recap. I don't know if you can even describe UConn's win last night. It's crazy.
It feels like Duke has been owed something the last couple of years, and they've gotten their comeuppance back-to-back years. The blown lead to Houston in last year's Final Four. That looked like it was just a runaway Cooper flag show. They're on to the title game. No, not so fast. And then yesterday, 20-plus point lead for Duke, and Connecticut slowly but surely comes back. We think back to, you talk about comeuppance, you think back to the Christian Laettner
Oh my
shot,
gosh,
which was
yes.
against, the one we all remember was against Kentucky.
Right.
He had another one, I believe, the year before against Connecticut that is less famous than the shot he made against Kentucky. So maybe this is all coming back around here, the charmed life for Duke. I mean, John Shire's been fantastic. He's a tremendous coach. It's a great program. But now back-to-back years where Duke has incredible heartbreak. That was as perfect
It was
a
also
shot.
just a dumb play. Why they even tried to throw the ball instead of just hanging on to it for a
Hang on to it,
second.
roll it into the front court, do anything but get it picked off like that.
Deflected by the freshman, and he gets the ball back. The Mullins kid, and
Mr. Indiana basketball.
Mr. Indiana basketball. It was such a perfect shot, and Rammer, you can probably best describe the sound a ball makes when it goes through the net, when it's perfect.
Doesn't
I don't want to try and replicate that sound.
I don't think I can
But that was
either.
the perfect shot and the perfect sound.
Did
and it
anybody
was a
see
great
Dan
call.
Hurley's mom as the shot was going in? The video is fantastic.
I don't think I did.
Anybody see Dan Hurley?
he was going
he was
crazy.
beside himself, and he's already a nut.
Yeah, and Caravan got the ball, and no one would have complained if, hey, he's your best guy, go get the shot.
Right.
But he saw that the kid was trailing and was open, and made the right decision as opposed to the Duke guy who made the wrong decision.
Very much so, and it was probably the best finish of the tournament. One of the best finishes we'll really have ever seen in this year's tournament, I should say. And best ever, I wouldn't go that far, but it's going to be one of the best. When we look back on years down the line,
It'll be on the list,
no
For
question
sure.
about it.
Of course, the women have 2 more games tonight, but then while we're talking basketball, Josh Schertz is not going to NC State, which Bob Ramsey did say on Thursday or Friday he is staying here, but there was a little drama.
There was some drama. It looks like all systems go. I'm curious to see what will happen if another school comes calling here, because I think there are going to be other jobs that open up. At some point, you need to have all your ducks in a row. I also think a part of this is Josh Schertz is such a nice guy, and I think he wants to, hey, you want to talk? Oh, you want to come talk to me? Sure, come on in. we'll talk. And it happens to be an interview for a job, but again, for a point of reference, he didn't go there. They came here. He said, "Sure, come in and talk," and he didn't take the job.
Well, and they didn't offer the job.
He didn't offer the job.
It was just okay. We talked, and I think in the end, as you take a step back, because they hired the guy I think they wanted, the assistant from Tennessee.
so, too.
I think it was a matter of performing due diligence for the NC State folks.
Yeah.
We got to at least talk to this guy and see what's happening. And so I think everything probably worked out the way it was supposed to. Having said that, Kalu Anya, the Billiken power forward who redshirted this year, would have been his senior year, has gone into the portal. And so that's interesting. And on the women's side, Alyssa Kirkenmeyer, the brilliant 6'6" freshman for Rebecca Tillett and the Billikens women's team, has elected to stay. I thought it was
That's a big one.
I thought
6'6".
She's unbelievable. She's great.
She's good.
Conference play average a double-double. She's just a freshman. I thought for sure somebody would throw wads of cash at her, and maybe they did, but she's staying.
A-10 Rookie of the Year, I believe.
Yeah. She's a marvelous player.
And I read something over the weekend that even on the women's side of college basketball, the first question that gets asked is, how much are you going to pay me?
Well, of course.
That's just
And
great.
Why,
That's the era
why
we're
would
in
that be
right
different
now.
than the men?
You don't think they have time because they're in the kitchen making sandwiches?
They have more integrity. But
Look at him
Because
trying.
money
He's
doesn't
with-
matter.
it's big money on both sides.
On both sides, that's correct.
And with okay.
And we have got portal news elsewhere too.
Oh, go ahead.
So Anthony Robinson, Mizzou point guard, in the portal. That is just within the last hour.
Oh, I didn't see
will
that.
not come back for his senior year. Bummer. Love that kid, but it didn't go great this year. I mean, he had some ups, some downs. Had a brilliant sophomore season, just not as good as junior campaign. So he's in the portal. Trent Pierce, Mizzou Jr., is coming back.
That's great.
That's official. I think when we talked about it, Eli Hoff and myself talked about that last week. I think we made it clear he was the most important potential returnee to this program. He's back. Obviously, there are potential. More potential players that could enter or exit, but 2 big ones from a Mizzou perspective today, one coming, one going.
And I feel like it's Groundhog's Day, but do the Blues actually have a chance at the playoffs?
It's Rammer.
Well, here's the deal.
Rammer.
All throughout the fall, when the Blues were miserable, I kept saying, wait till Christmas, they'll be fine, right? They're going to make the playoffs, they'll be fine. And then, as we got to the end of January, I said, forget it. They got to win out, though. Less than winning out, it's going to be very, very tough.
Good news, bad news. Good news, they're just 4 points out of the final spot right now, with games in hand against a lot of those teams ahead of them.
It's in 2 games for some.
Right. The bad news, 5 teams they have to leapfrog. 5.
Yeah.
So the Blues could keep winning, but then there's going to be someone ahead of them that's potentially, and multiple teams ahead of them also winning at the same time. So yes, there's a lot that has to go into place here. And as Rammer said, I think you got to stick the landing. But as of this moment, I believe the last 15 games, the Blues are 11-2-2. It's ridiculous.
Fantastic. And they're so much fun to watch as opposed to just a month ago when you couldn't stand to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's exciting.
Which frustrates you to a point is where was this?
Exactly.
When goaltending was a big part of it, but it was more than that. They were all around bad. They have flipped a switch. And I think that the trade deadline woke these guys up. Woke up Robert Thomas. Colton Parayko said, "Don't trade me. I'm staying here."
Mm-hmm.
Woke up Colton Parayko. Woke up Kyrou. These guys have played their best hockey in a while.
And Holloway is healthy.
Holloway too, and he exactly right. Really
Wow.
good point.
What's coming up tonight?
We've got we'll break down the SLU situation with Stu Durando. Big news today in the Missouri Valley Conference. Ben Jacobson, who's been at Northern Iowa for darn near
20 years?
20 plus years, 25, I believe, took the job at Utah State today. And then did something really interesting, had a farewell press conference at Northern Iowa. You don't see a lot of coaches do that these days where they face the media that's covered them. They just leave in the dark of night and you never hear from them again. Exactly right. We'll talk about that tonight as well. It's very true. Very true.
All right, we'll be listening. Thanks
Heidi.
Brendan.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Wildwood, De Pere, Columbia, and the world. Streaming live at KTRS.com.
ABC News. I'm Mike Dubusky. Questions continue to swirl around how long the U.S. plans to be involved in the war in Iran. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters today,
"Despite all of the public posturing you hear from the regime and false reporting, talks are continuing and going well. What is said publicly is, of course, much different than what's being communicated to us privately."
Meanwhile, Iran's government says they haven't had any official peace talks with the Trump administration. Meanwhile, Iran continues to threaten ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. ABC's Shannon Kingston has how Secretary of State Marco Rubio is now responding.
We also do know that Rubio has been sounding the alarm that Iran could seek to control the Strait of Hormuz permanently. So there is a very real chance that there could be trouble in the region's waterways even after the administration declares mission accomplished.
The partial government shutdown is now the longest in American history. Lawmakers in Congress left town on recess last week, still no closer to an agreement on funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Today, TSA workers began receiving back pay for the weeks they've worked without receiving paychecks. Angela Grana is a TSA worker in Colorado and the vice president of the TSA union there. She says many workers quit in recent weeks, meaning travel tie-ups are likely to continue.
Take your own paycheck away from your own self and see how you do without it for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks like we have. It's just, I can't believe they're choosing sides when this is a red, white, and blue thing, not a red or blue thing.
Lawmakers aren't expected back in Washington until mid-April. The Mexican government now says it's going to file an amicus brief in a class action lawsuit about the conditions at an ICE detention center in Texas. This after ICE told Congress a Mexican national died in their custody last week. You're listening to ABC News.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. The one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots.
They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call STLMedWeightLoss.com and ask Dr. Joe. STLMedWeightLoss.com.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. St. Louis County Police say a child that was reported abducted this morning was not abducted. In fact, the child doesn't exist and the kidnapping was made up. The report caused an Amber Alert. Police say the car that was reported stolen with the alleged child inside was stolen and recovered a short time later a few blocks away. Police say the owner of the car and her roommate, who reported the missing child, could face charges of filing a false police report. A portion of Interstate 270 in the Metro East was shut down overnight after a crash involving a wrong-way driver. The crash occurred shortly after 3 this morning on eastbound 270 near the Chain of Rocks Bridge. Police say a passenger vehicle traveling westbound in the eastbound lanes struck a tractor-trailer. The driver of the passenger vehicle was taken to the hospital. Their condition remains unclear. The driver of the 18-wheeler was not injured. I-270 was shut down for several hours and reopened shortly after 6 a.m. One person is in critical condition after an overnight apartment fire in South St. Louis. Firefighters were called to a burning building along the 7,000 block of Nottingham around 12:30 this morning. Firefighters rescued one of the occupants who was trapped. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Thousands of demonstrators gathered across the St. Louis area on Saturday as part of the nationwide No Kings protest. Demonstrators held these events to speak out against the Trump administration over several issues, including the ongoing war with Iran and immigration policies. Crowds assembled at several locations, including the Hawks Nest overpass in St. Charles, the intersection of Manchester and Weedman Roads in Manchester, and the Tam Avenue overpass above I-64 in Midtown. The St. Charles County Council is expected to vote tonight on an ICE partnership. KTRS's Jill Enders has the story.
The proposed agreement would train some St. Charles County police officers to work with federal authorities on immigration enforcement within the county. St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman and Police Chief Kurt Frizz will hold a news conference tonight ahead of the county council meeting. They will give details on the county's longstanding work with federal immigration authorities, how this agreement would further train county police, and explain their support for the proposal. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. Our 2 largest supermarkets will be closed on Easter. Schnucks and Dierbergs have both announced that their stores will be closed to allow employees time to spend with their families on Easter Sunday. All stores will reopen at their usual times on Monday. And now this market report brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturday mornings 9 to 11 at the close today. Dow Jones. Oh my goodness. All right, well, let's go check sports and traffic now with Captain Paul Kopsky.
Sobe, the Blues open a 4-game road trip tonight in San Jose against the Sharks. The Note will be trying for 5 consecutive wins. The Cardinals welcome the Mets to town for a 3-game series tonight. The Birds couldn't complete a season-opening sweep of the Rays with an 11-7 loss in the finale yesterday. The St. Louis bullpen has allowed 15 runs already through 3 games on the season. And Illinois basketball is on to the Final Four for the first time since 2005. The Illini will play the Yukon Huskies in a national semifinal at 5 p.m. this Saturday, right here on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. An accident on 70 East at Route TW is blocking the 2 right lanes with the stop and go back up to the Wright City Rest area. Estimated clearance time isn't until 6:20. A crash on 44 West past 141 is blocking the 2 right lanes with traffic jammed back to 270. Estimated clearance time there is 5:20. We have a crash on 270 West past Newhall's Ferry. 270 South is heavy from 64 to Manchester. 64 West crash crowded in front of Forest Park. 64 east bogs down at 170, and 55 south is running slow from Gasconade to 4500 South Broadway. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather tonight, partly cloudy, overnight low of 65. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high of 85 with rain possible tomorrow evening. Wednesday, occasional morning showers, then cloudy, high of 73. And then Thursday morning, rain, and then turning into heavier thunderstorms in the afternoon possibly, high Thursday of 78. But right now, 83 degrees. The time is 5:08. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Hi, everybody. McGraw Millhaven here for family-owned and family-operated Lisi Lumber since 1872. Lisi Lumber is now producing and delivering custom kits for pre-assembled trestles, pavilions, and pergolas made to your specifications. Union-made, union-delivered, homeowners and do-it-yourselfers, you're going to love this. Got an idea? Send them a sketch and some dimensions, and they'll do the rest. For the best woods and pre-assembled hardscapes, call Lisi Lumber at 618-234-0105 or LisiLumber.com.
Scott, remember when the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Pile were flying around the arch selling flooring?
Andrea, that was the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Tile.
Oh, that's right. But we don't need shtick here at Best Buy Flooring.
That's right, because our in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile are already at low, low prices.
Come see us at our 3 area locations, North County, South County, and Metro East. Open 7 days a week.
Plus, free financing on approved credit. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS. Now it's time for the KTRS Book Club.
It's called reading. Top to bottom, left to right. Group words together as a sentence.
Powered each week by the St. Louis County Library on the Big 550.
Well, you see, I spell them like this sounds, you know.
KTRS.
Girl, you thought you found the answer on that magic carpet ride last night.
Tonight, St. Louis County Library's America 250 celebration presents Kostya Kennedy to discuss his book, The Ride, Paul Revere and the Night That Saved America. We're so happy he's made time to talk to us before he heads to the Clark Family Branch. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, Heidi. It's good to be on with you guys.
Kostya, take us back to April 18th, 1775. How did Paul Revere become the guy to handle this crucial mission?
Well, it's really no accident. I mean, they in the late 1760s or so, when tensions were beginning to boil up between the colonists and the British, Samuel Adams put into place a system of express riders. And these were guys who would bring information really quickly from one place to another. And Revere was the best they had. And he would bring, so after the Boston Tea Party, it was Revere who was entrusted to ride to Hartford and New York and Philadelphia and tell them. He had a big ride down to Philadelphia again at the First Continental Congress in 1974. He'd done maybe 18 rides or so.
Wow.
So to have him be the principal person on this night was not an accident. There were a number of things that made him such a good rider.
Yeah, tell us more about Paul Revere, the man.
Well, he grew up in the north end of Boston, which is where he lived his whole life until the start of the Revolution forced he and his family to move out. And he was a silversmith. He was an engraver. For a while, he was a dentist, a self-trained dentist.
Oh,
probably not the kind of dentist I would go to. Yeah, I don't know if you guys go to those, but you took what you could get in those days. And he was very involved in the cause, in the early ideas of the Revolution with guys like John Hancock, Samuel and John Adams, Joseph Warren. Those are the guys who really got it off the ground in Boston. And he was one of the reasons they liked him so much as a rider was not just that he was good on the back of a horse, but you could trust him to, he wasn't going to stop by and say, "Hey, Bob, Josh, how's it going? We're going to have the family, we'll have the crops." He's going to give you the information. He's going to be able to answer the questions, then he's going to move on. And that wasn't as simple as it sounds, because you usually couldn't bring documents with you if you were stopped by British soldiers. That was illegal, certainly. So they trusted him a lot, and he was a key figure in that regard.
Well, let me ask you about this. Set the record straight on this. The British are coming. The British are coming. This is what Paul Revere yelled as he rode his horse down the trail that you can go and visit still in Boston today. Is that what he said?
He did not say that exactly. It actually came to be about 80 years later, because everybody really thought of themselves as British at that time. In 75, the colonists weren't really thinking even necessarily of breaking away from the British. They were just saying, we don't like what you're doing. You know, you can't tax us without give us a voice in government, right? It was only really in 76, not that long later, but later, that the idea of, hey, let's just break totally free came to be. And he also wouldn't have been yelling, because just like now, you might have a neighbor who has one political point of view and you have another, and you all live together in the same community. That's how it was then too, right? Like there were different, some people were loyalists, some people were loyal to the rebellion, and you couldn't just be yelling that out because you'd be caught.
How did they decide, like, who was to be trusted? If Kostya's going to all these other men, how did they know that that man was to be trusted?
Well, it was another reason why people like Revere and of course many others were so important, because they were in a closed circle of trust. He was a Mason. The Masonic Lodge at St. Andrews was a club that shared a lot of the secrets. There were different caucuses. But listen, there were spies all over the place. There were spies on the colonist side and on the loyalist side, and often it was hard to tell. Information had to be really, really closely held.
And so at that time, 1775, Paul Revere still considers himself British. Everyone, nobody said, "Oh, well, we're American British," or how did that work?
Yeah, it's not like totally clear what they had in their heart of hearts, but I guess what I'm saying is the idea of we're going to break free and establish a whole new government and do something completely different was not really there yet. It was there that we're not going to just follow along with what comes out of King George and Parliament in London. But listen, if you remember the French and Indian War, in which the British people in America fought against the French, went from 1755 to 1763. And in that war, plenty of sort of British generals came over and fought side by men like George Washington and many other American soldiers. So it wasn't that far removed that we were really sort of close together and bound together. 63 to 75 is only 12 years. So, it was the rebellion and the idea of breaking away was forming, but these ideas, they didn't arrive fully formed. It took really Thomas Paine's common sense and then, of course, the Declaration of Independence in 1776 to really articulate, okay, we're all about it. And listen, it was hard to convince some people. What do you mean we're going to overthrow the British, right? They're a bunch of farmers and, with their fowling pieces and their pistols, they're going to take on the best run, best equipped army in the world. Not that easy.
Kostya, you're a man after my own heart. I love history, but moreover, I'm a baseball guy. You've written several terrific baseball books. So how does a baseball guy attack a story like this and give it a fresh coat of paint and make it come to life?
Well, thanks for saying that. I do love baseball. I know the Cardinals have the Mets tonight. So good luck to you guys.
Yep.
But my baseball books, just really quick. One was 56. It was about Joe DiMaggio, and it was also about like the summer of 1941 in this country, the last summer before the war. And, DiMaggio being an Italian-American hero. Did a book on Jackie Robinson. My Pete Rose book was kind of a moral dilemma kind of book. So as much as I love baseball, and I certainly do, those books they're sort of about a man meeting his moment or rising to something. And it was a little bit like that with Paul Revere. When Revere was called on, he was 40 years old, and he knew just what time it was, and he had this mission, and he was able to meet it. I found myself actually fairly comfortable in the milieu and in doing the research for this book.
We're talking to Kostya Kennedy, who is the author of The Ride, Paul Revere, and The Night That Saved America. And your book is really a retelling of this American story. What did you learn in your research? Because I know that you went through letters and all kinds of different things.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things to learn about Revere. I mean, I think I mentioned before how close he was to people like Hancock and the Adamses and Warren. And one thing about those other four guys, they were all their families had been here for quite a long time at that point. They went to Boston Latin or Roxbury Latin, then they went to Harvard. Hancock was extremely wealthy. The Adamses were of a high class. Revere was the son of an immigrant who'd come over from France, a Frenchman in 1715. He certainly didn't go to a fancy school. He went to kind of a trade school to become a silversmith, wasn't going to go to college. And that he sort of rose so close to the corridors of power and had that kind of influence, even through a class system that was very much present here. I mean, it's part of what colonists were trying to shake away, but it was a real part of life then from what came over from England. And that he was able to get himself that close just by being his discipline, his sort of street smarts. That was kind of new to me. I didn't realize he was kind of a different type of guy than some of the other founders that we learned about.
Kostya's going to be at the library tonight, the Clark family branch at 7, and he told me on the phone that he's not leaving town until Wednesday. I just realized he's going to go to the Mets game.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm doing tomorrow night. Yeah.
Okay, well, I hope we win. All right, so what happened from 1775 until he became a folk hero? When did the poem come out, or is it a song or whatever? How did he become
the poem? Yeah. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. That poem was a Longfellow poem that was written in 1860, published in the Atlantic Monthly in January of 1861. So that's 85 years later, right, from when it happened. Revere was, of course, long gone. And Longfellow wrote it as kind of a call to action for abolitionists. Longfellow wasn't super political at all, but he was very much against slavery. And he wrote that as kind of, look at what people can do with the force of a single action and with the force of conviction. And that poem is what, listen, if people were students of American history, you would have heard of Paul Revere. He had that ride, of course, and he had an influential role later in rolling copper for the War of 1812. He would be a figure you might know, but there's no way that everybody would know him, right? There'd be no Beastie Boys song about Paul Revere. There'd be no, I got the horse right here, his name is Paul Revere. None of that if it wasn't for Longfellow. And Longfellow at that time was the best known, best paid poet in the world. He'd written Evangeline, he'd written the Song of Hiawatha. So and in those days that really meant something, right? So he comes out with the book and people read it. There's no TV, there's no radio, right? It's a big form of entertainment and collective experience. And that really is what elevated him to the folk hero status.
So was his name known to school children, or if not for the poem?
Well, it was known to some sense, right? Because Longfellow didn't pluck him out of obscurity.
Yeah.
He'd been asked right from the beginning to document what happened on the ride. He'd been hundreds of people came to his funeral. He was well known throughout. But I'm trying to think of like a Patrick Henry or there's lots of other people who were known, but he was never president. He wasn't George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or anything like that. He wasn't Ben Franklin. So I just mean that he was known to some degree, certainly if you were a scholar of some kind, but not the way. I mean, I think that might be the most famous poem, that and Two Roads Diverge in the Yellow Wood, leaving aside children's poetry. They might be the two most famous poems in American history to this day.
Yeah.
And I think it really, really helped him just elevate it, what his status is.
Well, we obviously know his name, but how many men, and were there any women that took part in this ride?
Yeah, so when Revere went out, he went out sort of mentioned the north end of Boston. If any of your listeners happen to know the geography there, you go across the river, and then there are sort of suburbs in the northwest. And when Revere would tell people, hey, this is what's happening, the British are going here, some people immediately got on. Well, some people were like, Paul, I'm hanging out. It's family game night. You think I'm going to take my gun and go fight the British? No, right? Some people were a little nervous to go do that. But other people either went along, grabbed their gun and went, or they went further out. They got on their own horse and started fanning out through the countryside to places like Lynn and Reading. You can imagine looking above and seeing this sort of neural network of it, as many as 30 or 40 riders going through roads, but also there weren't always roads, through meadows, wherever you could find, to try to sound the alarm and get people there. Because he went that night, and the next morning is when the British arrived at Concord and Lexington, Lexington first, and then Concord, which are about 12, 15 miles away from Boston, right? And there's no way, by the time the British were going back, there were thousands of colonists there just firing on them. And there's no way that one guy, however good he was at his job, could have rallied that number of people. So it needed a huge network, a real support system of people, some of whom are known to history, and little towns are very proud of that in that area, and some of whom are, quite frankly, lost to history. We're not sure exactly who everybody was.
I can't wait to read the book.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
Kostya will be discussing his book, The Ride, Paul Revere and the Night That Saved America, tonight in just an hour and a half, 7 o'clock at the Clark Family Branch. You'll also be able to purchase a book there thanks to Left Bank Books. Kostya, thank you so much, and enjoy your time in St. Louis.
So happy to be here, and thank you guys all for having me.
Kicks just keep getting harder to find, and all your kicks ain't bringing you peace of mind. Before you find out it's too late, girl, you better get straight.
I've been asked to say a word about Allen Roofing. That's not fair. I can't say it in a word. If they just did roofs, I probably could. I would say roofs. But they can do siding. They could replace it. They could put leaf guards on. They could reattach it like they had to do for me, where my gutter kind of came away from the house. Siding issues, they carry James Hardy, the very best. They can fix that too. Basically, if it's something you could see from the outside of your home or your office, they can fix it, improve it, or replace it. Look, it's probably the biggest investment you're ever going to make. Protect it. Absolutely. And nobody does it better than Allen Roofing. Check out all the reviews online. Everybody else seems to know. I shouldn't have to tell you these things. For all of your roofing needs and so much more, Allen Roofing. Find them online at aroofing.net.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment for an idea to spark, or to make it happen, a moment to find your dream, or build one, a moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
Great story about Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. One of the wives called up and said, "Hey, we need an electrician. Call Michael Baldy." And the husband said, No, I can do it. Well, the wife overrode the husband, called up Michael Baldy at 314-968-9999. Maybe she checked the website first, baldyelectric.com. So Michael Baldy came out to the house. While he was at the house, the husband says, "Well, since you're here, I've got 3 or 4 other jobs for you." It turned out to be an all-day affair. They took care of everything. And so, no, the husband couldn't get it done. Good thing the wife called Baldy Electric, and now the whole house is fixed because of one simple phone call to Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. Indoor, outdoor, brand new commercial building, an old Victorian home, it doesn't matter. Michael Baldy and his team of electricians will take care of you. 314-968-9999, Baldy Electric, or baldyelectric.com.
I'm Mark Cantor. Here's why you can count on Cantor Injury Law.
My name is Michelle. I'm a litigation paralegal at Cantor Injury Law, and you can count on Cantor because we are smart, honest, and hardworking.
I'm Kevin Glenn, and a partner here at Cantor Injury Law. You can count on Cantor because we make your cause our cause.
No fee if no recovery. Please visit cantorinjurylaw.com or call us at 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Kuna Food Service has been the trusted food supplier in the Midwest since 1918. For over 100 years, Kuna Food Service has been distributing the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. When a restaurant puts their trust in Kuna Food Service, they get a team that truly cares about their success. That's why at Kuna, they like to say, they're big enough to handle it, yet small enough to care. Check them out online at kunafoodservice.com.
Looking for a new kitchen or bath? Call me, Anne-Marie Bogus, the co-host of the Inside Out Show and owner and designer at Anne-Marie Design Studio. Visit our website at annemariestudio.com. We can help make your dream space into a reality. We're a fine kitchen and bath boutique located in Wildwood. We do it all, from design to bid to installation too. Call us today at 636-821-3395 or go online at annemariestudio.com. Let's make your dream kitchen or bath a reality with Anne-Marie Design Studio.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
It is 5:28. Time to check back in with Captain Paul.
Heidi, the latest is a crash on 64 East past Mason, blocking the two right lanes with traffic backed up to Maryville Center. Estimated clearance time there is 6 o'clock. They've cleared a crash on 44 West past 141, but there's residual congestion back to 270. An accident on 70 East at Route TW is blocking the two right lanes with the stop and go back up to the Wright City rest area. Estimated clearance time is 6:20. We have a crash on 270 West past Newhall's Ferry. 64 West is crowded in front of Forest Park. 64 East bogs down from 170 to Big Bend. And 55 South is running slow around 4500 South Broadway. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
President Trump earlier today threatened widespread destruction of Iran's energy resources and other vital infrastructure. Jordana Miller, ABC News correspondent in Jerusalem, joins us with the latest from the Middle East. Hey, Jordana.
Hi there. The president again threatening to obliterate Iran's energy infrastructures, right? Hitting spots that he says until now the U.S. hasn't touched. Again, the president, he's giving mixed messages all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
A few minutes before or a few lines up from that threat, he said that the talks are going well with Iran, that there's progress. But he said if there isn't a deal soon or we don't close a deal, then he renewed his threat. He didn't give it a deadline this time. Even though he's already said, right, there's a new deadline of April 6th. I think it's so hard to really know what's happening because we don't know exactly who the president is talking to in Iran. He says it's new leaders. Israeli sources here tell us it's the Speaker of the Parliament in Iran, Ghalibaf, who is, definitely not a new leader in Iran, right? He's been around forever, came right out of the Revolutionary Guard. He is pure regime and Islamic revolution. He's as pure as they come. So I don't know if that Iranian leader can really show the flexibility that President Trump is asking of the regime. So I think, we're going to have to wait and see. The sides still seem very far apart, right? What the president wants, which is, no enriched uranium, to turn over those 450 kilograms of highly enriched material, as well as limits on their ballistic missiles and cutting ties with proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah, and Iran saying, they haven't officially even responded, but publicly through their state media, they've said, well, we have some demands of our own. And those seem, a pipe dream, maybe is the best way to describe them, right? All the U.S. closing all its bases in the region, in the Gulf, and leaving. I don't see how that's going to happen. Compensation, I don't think the United States is going to give Iran any money to compensate for damages from the war, right? And Iran is swiftly moving, we see, to pass a law that will force anyone who wants to go through the Strait of Hormuz to pay a toll to go through there. And to obviously retain control of the Strait of Hormuz after this war, which seems at odds with what the president and his team have talked about.
I don't understand how the Strait of Hormuz is under Iranian control. I thought the U.S. Sort of obliterated their Navy and everything. How is Iran still in control?
Well, they're still able to fire drones, and they're able to put out Navy boats with explosives and fire from. I mean, Iran's a huge country, right? So
right.
if you take out some of the missile launchers right along the Strait of Hormuz, they just can fire from further away, right? And we haven't. The United States and Israel they have not taken out everything yet, right? So that's how the Iranians can still fire on tankers. And by the way, despite claims by Iran that they have not mined the Strait of Hormuz, right? Everyone thinks that they have mined the Strait of Hormuz, which also is keeping oil tankers out, except a route that the Iranians know that they're letting some tankers through.
So, Jordana, you're in Jerusalem. You're in Israel. What does the average Israeli think of the war? Are they in support of it? Are they skeptical? What do you think?
I would say 9 out of 10 Israelis support the war, and they're willing to put their lives on hold for weeks and weeks if it means that the regime in Iran will no longer be a threat to Israel. There is a small anti-war movement. We saw hundreds of people on Saturday night at different points across the country, but compared to the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of Israelis that came out during the Gaza war to fight for the release of the hostages, and before that to fight against the judicial reform. I mean, these are really, really small numbers, right? The vast majority of Israelis support the war, even if some, for example, in the north, believe that the country is not doing enough to keep them safe, right? I mean, the north now, we talk a lot about Iran. They're firing about 10 missile strikes a day on Israel. And sometimes the strikes are somewhere between 1 and 3 or 4 missiles. But we don't talk about so much what Hezbollah is doing, and that's the Iranian-backed proxy. They're firing now, on average, at least 100 rockets and drones a day on northern Israel, right? They've killed civilians and soldiers in the last week, and that front is really intensifying. That's why you see the Israeli prime minister ordering Israeli troops deeper into South Lebanon, right? The Israelis describe it as a security buffer or zone and as a kind of defensive posture. But it looks like Israel's going back to the playbook of the 80s, where they're going to try to take and hold some kind of buffer zone in southern Lebanon. It didn't work then, and maybe with all the regional changes this time, the Israelis will hold it for far less than almost 20 years, like they did in the 80s. Maybe they will be able to hold it for less time and negotiate something with the Lebanese government.
Yeah, and I know we have, I think, 10,000 troops there now. And is it necessary for the United States to be there helping Israel, or is this something Israel could do on their own?
So first of all, I think, I think President Trump did not do a great job of setting out the reason why he went to war against Iran for the American people. And so there's all these, theories that, the Israeli prime minister, who's very smart, pressured or coaxed or influenced President Trump and dragged him into this war. I don't think any of that is true. Certainly, Netanyahu has been a factor, but I think the most important factor was President Trump himself. He believed that Iran was going to be a national security threat to the United States at some point pretty soon, and that it was already a major destabilizer in the region. And remember, Iran was holding up the region from what President Trump saw as one of his aims in office in this tenure, which is to create more stability and peace deals in this region. And Iran was sabotaging that with its use of proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, right? They're the single reason there's not a peace deal between the Saudis and Israel, right? Which is that would be the real game changer. So I think their ballistic missiles was going to be a major threat. We see that the Iranians have already lied about their capabilities because they fired on Diego Garcia Island, right, which was 4,000 kilometers after saying they only had missiles of 2,000 kilometers. But also, I think the nuclear issue was a major issue. The 12-day war in June just did not do enough damage, even though it did a lot of damage, and there were still, over 450 kilograms of enriched uranium left in Iran, and the Iranians were already trying to get it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, Jordana, as always, we really appreciate your insight into what's happening there in the Middle East. Thank you so much, and as always, stay safe.
Thanks so much. Talk soon.
Hi, it's Frank Cusimano inviting you to join me for the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. We're going to interview some of the biggest names in sports and have our opening monologue. That's the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
You know, that honeydew list isn't getting any shorter, and you got to make a dent into it. Can I recommend going somewhere to helping you out? Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, one in Webster and one in Ladue. One great family, 2 great hardware stores. Schnarr's Hardware. When you walk in with that list, you say, okay, I think I know how to do this one, but these 3 I need help on. And you know what? The people behind the counter at Schnarr's Hardware, that's what they do best. They have the expertise, so they can help you with electrical, help you with plumbing, painting, really anything at Schnarr's Hardware. They're small, they're compact, but it's that friendly neighborhood hardware store that has been the way it's been here in America for years, right? You remember when your grandfather took you to the hardware store. That's Schnarr's Hardware. The popcorn and the advice are free. So when you go to Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations in Webster and in Ladue. Don't forget about the website, schnarrshardware.com. So for all your hardware needs and that honeydew list, Schnarr's Hardware or schnarrshardware.com.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
A weekend at home or a weekend RVing? Staring at your neighbor's security lights or counting stars? Watching the Travel Channel or sitting around the campfire with friends? Break away. Get out of town in an RV from Byerly in Eureka.
For the rest of your life, you gotta be there. Byerly RV.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's do a little entertainment news. Project Hail Mary. Has anybody seen it yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Maybe we might go see it tomorrow night. Anyway, it's still crushing it at the box office. It made $164 million in the U.S., $300 million globally to become the year's top Hollywood pick. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do a little review in the next day or two. Peter Alexander, this one caught me off guard, is saying goodbye to NBC News after nearly 22 years, including 15 on the White House beat and then 8 as co-anchor of Saturday Today. Apparently, the rigorous grind of work weeks that are 6 to 7 days long, especially with him doing that weekend show, has left him wanting to spend more time with his family and young children. Now, some of the naysayers say it's simply because he was passed over for the main anchor gig, but I get that he wouldn't want to be traveling from New York to D.C. and missing all that time with his family.
And most of the time when people make decisions like that, there's more than one reason.
Absolutely.
So both of those things could be true.
Absolutely.
I saw the story as well. I read it. I saw how old his kids were. They're like 9 and 11.
Yeah, they're in that time.
They're in that zone. And doing the Today Show on the mornings and Saturdays, he said, I haven't seen my family on a Friday.
Right.
In 15 years.
And he won't have to do a GoFundMe page. He'll be fine.
He'll be okay. And I've always said it was so hard, even locally, to have kids and be on any of the shifts. If you were, working Jennifer Blom's shift, you were in at 2 a.m. and you're home by, noon, but you're going to bed at 6, so you're still, Scott Connell managed to take naps and get there. And then if you're on the evening, you're going in at 2 and you're not there to see the kids for dinner, and you're home way after they've been in bed at 11 o'clock. So there were just a few great schedules if you really wanted to be with your family.
There are trade-offs.
Yeah.
And so many things in media.
Mm-hmm.
Many trade-offs. Sometimes it's a great job, but you don't make much money. Sometimes you have to work 1 million hours and not make much money.
Yeah. It's a passion project for a lot of people.
No doubt.
And Heidi, you've been in it. The best shifts are early in the morning and late at night.
It depends.
Like
I
the
had
the most high profile.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had the best of both worlds when I was doing Show Me St. Louis because it was a day shift. But yeah, there were positives to that morning shift as far as when my niece and nephew were born. I had 5 years that I was able to go pick them up from preschool. And then we were all going to bed at the same time.
That's great.
As far as that goes. And my golf game got a little better.
Off by noon.
Yeah, but the other thing is, it's very isolating. There are very few people who are actually off work when you are on either one of those shifts. So I get it.
Restaurant workers have it tough with their schedules, and it made me think of that, not because of the hours, but that's true, but also because often they're off on Mondays and Tuesdays or Sunday, Mondays. It's a different sort of weekend.
Absolutely.
It's not easy.
Funny you should say that. When I worked in the restaurant, you get off at 10:30, and the only people still up to hang out with are the other restaurant people.
Yeah.
So they became your new friends.
It's its own little culture.
Yeah, I would call it a cult.
I was going to. I'm glad you did.
We call it the industry for a reason.
Well, and there's a reason that there are other restaurants that have industry night for those folks. So at least there's that. Howie Mandel apologized for snapping at Kelly Ripa when she said he looked good for his age. Did you see this craziness?
What do you guys think about this? Have you seen it, Bob?
I think his apology it doesn't feel sincere because he plays it off. Oh, I was joking.
That's right.
But if you see it, he wasn't joking. But that's okay. Anybody can be in a bad mood, have a moment.
Any time to say you look good for your age, it's going to be well received. It is not a compliment. I don't care who you are.
You agree with Howie?
I do.
Heidi.
Yeah.
Bob, where do you stand? No, just on the initial.
Here's the deal. When you get to be my age, you might change your opinion. Maybe. Maybe you won't.
I'm going to say I won't.
Okay.
You take the compliment where they come.
Yeah.
Well, what about if you tell somebody how old you are and they go, what? I thought you were 35.
I think that's a great compliment.
Okay.
But it's not you look good for your age.
But isn't that what Kelly said? She goes, you're 70?
Yeah, she did, but that was after the fact. And she tried to explain, I just can't believe you're 70. Okay, that's great. But it's still... I will tell you another one going back to TV, and this didn't offend me, but two different things. You're so much smaller in person, like as far as skinnier. So you're like, well, what do I look like on TV? Or you're prettier in person.
You're prettier in person.
Yeah, so it's like, well, neither one of those. It's a backhanded compliment any way you look at it.
A long time ago when I was doing a lot of sports talk, for some reason, it happened multiple times, not like every day, but enough to where it was a trend. Oh, I thought you would be a lot bigger. Almost like Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah, with Patrick Swayze.
With Pat Swayze. I thought you'd be bigger. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you got to be careful with all of them. Did you know? I've got a couple of did you knows about different TV shows because James Burrows, the legendary director, wrote a book in the last year or two. And here's a few things that I found out. John Cryer was almost Chandler Bing on Friends.
Oh, no. Would have ruined the show.
It wouldn't have been good. But listen to this. He taped an audition while he was in London, arranged for it to be rushed overnight to L.A., but as James Burrows explained, the carrier lost the package. Producers never even saw his audition, of course, clearing the way for Matthew Perry.
Thank God.
Right?
But Cryer worked out. It worked out for him.
Absolutely.
2.5 Men. He made a lot of money. It was on for a long time. It worked out.
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
He also says he had to talk David Schwimmer into taking the role of Ross, which was actually written for him. But David turned down the role at first because he had a miserable experience on another show and did not want to do a sitcom.
That's too bad, because if you would ask around, does anybody know anything else he did? The answer is no.
No, never heard of
Not
it.
unless O.J. Simpson, when he played Kardashian.
Oh, yeah.
I only saw part of that.
It
Probably
was,
a foot taller than the real Robert
But I mean, I
Kardashian.
thought he did a good job in that role.
Well, here's where he was against type and was fantastic in Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was really good.
The bumbling
And he should make.
jerk.
He should. I'm surprised he didn't work more, because when I saw that, I go, "This guy's got talent." It was really good.
And probably just the way he played Ross. We think of that as being him, but,
No,
it is
it's
a
a
character.
role.
It's a
It's a
role.
role. Yeah.
Ross is the kind of character, much like Homer Simpson, who started out being one way, and by the end of the show, he was just kind of a ridiculous cartoon character version
bit.
of Red Ross.
Yeah.
That's funny.
James also wrote about the tension between Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams from the get-go.
No.
Of course, Penny, the sister of the show's creator, Gary Marshall, and then I think her dad and sister were even producers on it, made Cindy feel like the odd woman out.
Schlemiel?
Although she was marvelously talented,
Yeah.
as we saw, she did a lot of things. She was a very good actress.
Hassenpfeffer?
Incorporated.
And this is what I never heard. Apparently, in the first season of Cheers, they tried to get Lucille Ball to play Diane Chambers' mother.
Oh, that would have been fun.
That might have been funny.
Yeah, she obviously turned it down. And Fraser Crane, who played by Kelsey Grammer, was only supposed to be in 4 episodes. Of course, he went on to play Fraser
Everybody loved him and the chemistry.
for 20
Yeah.
years. TV tonight, the women continue to battle it out for the final 2 spots in the final 4. American Idol is on ABC. You got The Voice on NBC. And by the way, John Hamm is making the rounds. He'll be on with Jimmy Fallon. How about a couple birthdays?
Oh, I'll give you a couple of birthdays. How about, we were talking about great actors.
Yes.
Ian Ziering.
Oh, my
Ian
God.
Ziering of Sharknado.
I was going to say, are you putting him in the great actor
Beverly-
category?
Well, I'm trying to be nice.
Steve Sanders,
I'm
right?
going to say he's 54.
56.
62.
What?
He looks great for
He
his
looks
age.
great. Don't tell him that, though.
Wow.
Give me one more, Bob.
One more. How about, his new commercial is actually very funny. He makes you shake your head. MC Hammer.
Oh, my gosh. I had to double check and see if it was really him. I'm like, is that
Hammer
really?
time.
Yeah, that's pretty
It's
funny.
so funny. How old is MC Hammer?
Oh, well,
70.
if Ian Ziering is 62, 65.
Would you say
70.
64.
Whoa.
So you got it. He got the name Hammer because when he was a bat boy for the Athletics, they said he looked like Hank Aaron, whose nickname is
Hammer and
Hammer.
Is that
Hank.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah. I'm so glad we're all back together. That's your evening entertainment report here on the Big 550 KTRS.
And here's your last traffic report with Captain Paul Kopsky.
Josh, the roads are quiet with the exception of one crash. It's an accident on 44 West at Viaduct Street in Pacific. It's blocking the 2 right lanes and causing a stop-and-go jam back to Allenton Six Flags Road. Estimated clearance time is less than 10 minutes from now. And 64 East bogs down at 170, but thins out at Big Bend. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Reese Nichols, the most trusted Missouri real estate company, is now proudly serving St. Louis. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Alliance is now Reese Nichols, a Missouri-born company established 125 years ago. The same trusted agents who served St. Louis for 45 years now have the backing of Missouri's largest brokerage, Reese Nichols. Offices across the metro, in-house services include title and insurance, making your move seamless. They also proudly support the Ronald McDonald House. Visit ReeseNichols.com. That's ReeseNichols.com.
Julius Krasanik here, celebrating 54 years in this industry. My family owns Wholesale Siding Depot. That's WSDepot.com. Our seasoned customer service group has over 200 years of combined siding, window, and door experience. My grandson Elijah says,
"Are you kidding me?"
Tired of companies that like to apply pressure to sell you high-priced fiberglass or wood windows? We offer the Anderson Fibrex family of windows in styles and colors, including black, at wholesale prices. What are you waiting for? We sell truckloads of siding, windows, and doors from CertainTeed, Anderson, Viwinco, Provia, and other major brands, all at wholesale prices, while offering a free contractor referral service for your expert installation needs. Keep it local, family, and professional. Visit WSDepot.com. That's WSDepot.com.
Meet me at the Village Bar. Ready for the world's best cheeseburger, homemade onion rings, trashed wings? It's the Village Bar for food and sports. Cards, Blues, Mizzou, NFL, the game's always on. Open 7 days a week in De Pere. Grab your friends, grab a cold beer. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
File your taxes for free with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. Just file on your own in the Credit Karma app by February 28th. Valid for those who didn't file with TurboTax last year.
Mom, what do you always say?
There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer.
That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on site at Newssetter's Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, let's wrap this show up with a couple randoms.
All right, there's a one-lane bowling alley in the White House basement, which was added by Richard Nixon in 1973. There was another two-lane bowling alley in the West Wing built for President Truman, but it's been moved to the Executive Office building, which is also in the White House compound. So if you want to bowl,
you got a couple lanes.
And it's all still there?
I think it's still there. Down next to the Situation Room.
Donnie, mark down 0.
Yeah, mark it 8, dude. And then it would take a sloth roughly 6.6 hours to travel 1 mile.
That's pretty quick.
I was going to say, I thought it might be a little slower. I don't know that I can do it that fast if I'm walking. Maybe. All right, you guys, that does it for us. Thanks for hanging out with us on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Hopefully you'll meet us back here tomorrow starting at 3 o'clock. Until then, see if you can put a smile on somebody's face.
Through your life, it's alright, it's alright. Do it wrong or do it right, it's alright, it's alright. Don't need to watch you waste your time. Oh no, oh
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I opened a restaurant and needed everything. Menus, signage, catering brochures.
Everything and then some.
I went to Staples. They printed it all and even suggested takeout menus.
One money pit with a side of fries.
But now at Staples, you get up to $125 off custom print orders.
$125 off. Now you're cooking. Brand your business in a big way at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or in the app by 4/18 to unlock. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Hey, it's Jill Farmer for Premier Heating and Cooling. You know how spring works in St. Louis. 1 week you're running the furnace, the next week you're flipping on the air conditioner. It's weather whiplash, and your HVAC system feels it too. That's why spring is the perfect time to have the experts at Premier Heating and Cooling check things out. Their technicians go through 5 years of training well beyond industry standards. So when they perform a tune-up, they're making sure your system is running safely, efficiently, and ready for whatever the next St. Louis weather swing brings. If your furnace or air conditioner is older or starting to struggle, Premier can help with that too. They offer financing options that make replacing your system far more manageable, and a new unit can mean better comfort and lower energy bills all year long. So whether it's a quick tune-up or time for an upgrade, call the team that knows how to handle St. Louis weather. 636-916-1122, premierheatingcooling.net. Comfort you can count on.
Hey, it's Josh, and I want to tell you about a dentist office, My Dentist Office, and their new location, now open in Lake St. Louis Dentistry. Dr. Landgraf and the group of dentists have been my dentists my entire life. They've been my parents' dentists for their entire lives, and you don't keep generation after generation of clients unless you're really good at what you do. Now with 3 locations, Florissant, Creve Coeur, and the new one, Lake St. Louis Dentistry, half-mile from 4064, and you can get an appointment today. Check out My Dentist, LakeSt.LouisDentistry.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I opened a restaurant and needed everything. Menus, signage, catering brochures.
Everything and then some.
I went to Staples. They printed it all and even suggested takeout menus.
One money pit with a side of fries.
But now at Staples, you get up to $125 off custom print orders.
$125 off. Now you're cooking. Brand your business in a big way at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in store, online, or in the app by 4/4 to unlock. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
The Big 550.
KTRS St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Stephanie Officer. 15-year-old student is dead after. A 15-year-old student is dead after shooting a teacher at a Texas high school, according to the local sheriff's office.
Investigators believe the 15-year-old boy shot a female teacher and then killed himself at Hill Country Preparatory High School in Comal County, Texas, north of San Antonio. They don't yet know what connection the boy and teacher had, but Sheriff Mark Reynolds with a message to parents.
Your kids, your children were protected and they were safe, and we will continue to have a presence as needed while we work through the next steps.
He says a teacher went to a hospital and her condition is not known. Alex Stone, EBC News.
Investigators say the March 12th attack on a Michigan synagogue was an act of terror. The suspect, 41-year-old Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Lebanon, died after ramming his truck into the building before getting into a shootout with security. Special agent in charge Jennifer Runyon called the attack a Hezbollah-inspired act of terrorism purposely targeting the Jewish community.
A review of his online activity since January 2026 revealed a reoccurring search history of pro-Hezbollah news channels, Iranian news channels, and videos about shootouts and bullets.
The rapid growth of AI has Americans leery about the future.
Well, a third of Americans say they're excited about AI. 80% of those polled by Quinnipiac University say they're at least somewhat worried about it. More than half think AI will do more harm than good in their day-to-day lives. And 8 in 10 people say they would be unwilling to take a job where AI was their direct supervisor, assigning them tasks and schedules. When it comes to powering artificial intelligence, 2/3 of Americans say they would be against the building of any kind of data center in their community.
ABC's Sherry Preston. 52-year-old Alice the elephant broke free from her New Mexico zoo enclosure Sunday morning while Albuquerque's ABQ Biopark was closed. Zoo staff was able to call her back. You're listening to ABC.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. St. Louis County Police say a child that was reported abducted this morning was not abducted. In fact, the child doesn't exist and the kidnapping was made up. The report caused an Amber Alert. Police say the car that was reported stolen with the alleged child inside was stolen and recovered a short time later a few blocks away. Police say the owner of the car and her roommate who reported the missing child could face charges of filing a false police report. A portion of Interstate 270 in the Metro East was shut down overnight after a crash involving a wrong-way driver. The crash occurred shortly after 3 this morning on eastbound 270 near the Chain of Rocks Bridge. Police say a passenger vehicle traveling westbound in the eastbound lanes struck a tractor-trailer. The driver of the passenger vehicle was taken to the hospital. Their condition remains unclear. The driver of the 18-wheeler was not injured. I-270 was shut down for several hours and reopened shortly after 6 a.m. One person is in critical condition after an overnight apartment fire in South St. Louis. Firefighters were called to a burning building along the 7,000 block of Nottingham around 12:30 this morning. Firefighters rescued one of the occupants who was trapped. The cause of the fire is under investigation. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. Our 2 largest supermarkets will be closed on Easter. Schnucks and Dierbergs have both announced that their stores will be closed to allow employees time to spend with their families on Easter Sunday. All stores will reopen at their usual times on Monday. This look at the markets brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturday mornings 9 to 11. Dow Jones up 49, NASDAQ down 153, S&P 500 down 25. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Attention. Attention. Please make your way to the nearest radio.
It's time for the Press Box with Frank Cusimano on the Big 550, KTRS. Powered by the Control Option.
Good evening and welcome to the Control Option Press Box on the Big 550 KTRS. Backed by popular demand, mostly all of St. Louis.